Ook de speciale aandacht nog even voor die Chevrolet Corvette die daarvoor staat, die gele met de zwarte achterkant. Die verspeelde gisteren in de kwalificatie zijn achterkant. Heeft daar ergens achteruit de bandenstapels geraakt. Er moest een nieuwe achterkant opgeschroefd worden. Maar ondanks dat hadden ze toch een goede kwalificatietijd. Auto wordt gereden door Alex van 't Hoff, Rick Bresch en Diederik Seithoff. En zijn gisteren op een derde plaats gefinished. Wat op zich een snelste is de auto 2 van Hoofdvoor Racing. De SLS Mercedes. Die gereden wordt door Michael Krol. De eigenaar van het team Roland Echiman. Kenneth Haier, de zoon van Hans Haier. Voor diegenen die in de autosport bekend zijn. Een voormalig toerwagencoureur. Ook ooit nog eens een keer in een ATS Formule 1 gezeten. Daar de zoon van, die rijdt dus ook in die auto. Christian Frankenhout en Maximilian Bunk. Die met die auto rijden. Mooi om te zien ook dat die vleugeldeuren zo lekker open staan. Dan tocht het ook lekker door. De Lotus startnummer 102 van het team van Cor Euser. Die auto die wordt gereden door Cor Euser, Henk Thijssen, Torsten Kraats en de Nederlandse Lisette Braams. De dame die toch gisteren heel goede zaken deed met die auto en het tempo heel goed kon volgen. In totaal denk ik dat we nog 53 auto's in de baan hebben. En wij gaan er een prachtig spektakel van maken. Ook een uitblinker gisteren in de wedstrijd was de Ferrari met startnummer 9, Scuderia Praha. En die wordt ook mede bereden door Peter Cox, die gisteren heel lang aan de kop heeft gelegen van het veld. Deelt daar met twee Tsjechen het stoeltje. Jiri Pisarik en Jaromir Jirik. Prachtige Ferrari, de enige in het veld. Ik zocht hem even, maar ik kon hem niet zo snel vinden. Waar hij op dit moment staat. Oké, die staat inderdaad vooraan. Maar heel veel mensen eromheen, dan kon ik dat niet helemaal goed zien. Maar in ieder geval, Cox die deed gisteren onwijs goede zaken. En heeft die auto echt op die tweede plek neergezet. Heel knap. Daar gaat nog wel wat gebeuren. Zocht ik mijn collega nog even, Arthur Dekker, maar ik ben Arthur met zijn loopmicrofoon ben ik kwijt. We hebben nog een compleet Nederlands team. Start nummer 21, Tjarko Jilissen.
Erik.
Ja, dag Arthur, dag vriend.
Ja, we staan hier eventjes op de startgrid bij Renger van der Zanden. Bij de Mercedes SLS AMG, de nummer 33 auto. Ja, Renger, overduidelijk dat jij in ieder geval niet als eerste in de auto stapt vandaag.
Nee, ik heb me overal nog maar even niet aangetrokken. Maar nee, Mirko Schulte is mijn teamgenoot, die start de race. En daarna komt Peter Smit erin. Dus kijken hoe ze het gaan doen. Ik denk dat je in het begin heb je nog een beetje vrij baan. En het is voor Mirko wel lekker om de baan aan te voelen en te kijken hoe de auto is. Want hij kent de auto bijna niet. Hij heeft heel weinig gereden in deze Mercedes. En ook op Zandvoort weinig. Dus het is wel goed voor hem om even vrij baan te hebben voordat hij in het drukke verkeer belandt.
Ja, absoluut zo. Wat zijn ongeveer de stinttijden die jullie per coureur rijden in zo'n 12 uur race? We hebben vandaag nog 9 uur te gaan natuurlijk. Hoe gaan jullie dat verdelen een beetje?
In 20 minuten. 1 uur en 20 minuten is wat je als coureur rijdt. En dan kan je er best wel 2 stints van maken. Maar dat is, qua benzine heb je 1 uur en 20 minuten om rond te rijden. Dus ik denk dat Mirko dat doet en daarna Peter ook 1 uur 20 en daarna gaan we zien wie erin komt.
En is het dan het tweede deel van de race voornamelijk van joh, wie heeft het meeste energie of maakt dat niet zoveel uit dan?
Nou, energie hebben we allemaal wel. Volgens mij wil iedereen rijden hier. Het is een hartstikke leuke race en mooi weer. Dus er zijn een paar jongens die graag de finish willen rijden. En het maakt mij eigenlijk niet uit. Dus ik rij waarschijnlijk de middelste stint wat langer. En hopen dat we het terrein goed maken. En dat de anderen een beetje in de problemen komen en wij mooi naar voren komen. Dus ik denk dat qua snelheid zitten we er oké bij. Niet fantastisch. Maar ja, ik denk dat we een goede kans hebben om vandaag met een grote beker naar huis te gaan.
Ja, die Mercedes'en van Hofor, die er voor, tenminste die staan, ja dat is goed, dan staan die toch vooraan of niet? Heb ik het nou weer? Ja, staan in ieder geval. De snelheden van die SLS Mercedes, is dat ongeveer gelijk allemaal of zit er toch per team nog best wel verschil in?
Nou, in principe is het gewoon een standaard auto. Dus in principe heb je gewoon als team een auto, krijg je een setup mee van Mercedes en dan kun je zelf een beetje bijtunen, zullen we maar zeggen. En dus in principe, ja, ik denk dat het wel gelijk is. Maar setup kun je nog steeds wel wat fout doen of goed doen. En ook qua afstellingen, rijdersafstellingen zoals traction control. Je hebt ABS wat je meer kan laten werken of minder kan laten werken. Dat zijn dingetjes waar je tijdens de race, zeker als de banden wat ouder worden, kun je daarmee gaan werken. Dus tijdens de race ben je best wel veel aan het schroeven nog steeds.
Oké, dus meer te doen dan alleen sturen, dat is duidelijk.
Ja, zeker, zeker. Dus, en natuurlijk het verkeer, hè, daar kun je heel veel tijd verwinnen op verliezen. Aan de andere kant, als je er veel tijd op wil winnen, dan neem je veel risico. En er staat al een kringetje in de deur bij ons, maar je wil zo min mogelijk contact hebben met andere deelnemers. En ja, als je risico neemt en toch naar voren moet of wil komen, dan zit het er toch vrij snel in dat je iemand raakt. Dus dat is je afweging die je moet maken.
Laatste vraag, hebben jullie gisteren aan het eind van de eerste 3 uur nog getankt?
Ja, we hebben nu 15 minuten gereden, zeg maar. Dus we kunnen nu wel heel even door. Ik geloof dat de Ferrari nog naar binnen moet en de Mercedes zitten ongeveer... Dus de jongen op pole en wij die zitten ongeveer op hetzelfde schema. Dus ik geloof dat we nu een uurtje kunnen rijden en dan moeten we naar binnen.
Oké, goede planning. Nou, veel succes dan en wellicht spreken we elkaar aan het eind van de dag op het podium.
Absoluut, yo.
Dankjewel, Renger van der Zanden. Erik, terug naar jou.
Ja, Arthur, ik heb je beluisterd. Het is mooi. De strategieën natuurlijk met die tanks die half vol zitten of helemaal vol of helemaal leeg. Zoals de Ferrari die heel goed naar de kop gereden is. En nu, zodat ik eerder een pitstop zou moeten gaan maken, gaat er door heel veel plaatsen verliezen. Want het kost gewoon een paar minuten, maar dat haal je dan ook weer in de stint die je dan weer rijdt. Dan moet de ander weer tanken. En dan is het net hoe je het uitgekiend hebt tot aan het einde van die 9 uur die we nog resteren. Maar goed, er kan nog wat kapot gaan. Er kan nog een code 60 komen. Je kan een lekker band krijgen. Er zijn nog zoveel dingen die roet in het eten kunnen gooien. En wat vooral natuurlijk belangrijk is, dat de mensen goed opletten bij het inhalen van langzamere deelnemers. Omdat we auto's hebben die 1 minuut 40 rijden. En we hebben auto's erbij die rijden 20 seconden langzamer. En dan zijn die snelheidsverschillen zo ongelooflijk groot, dat zowel voor degene die inhaalt als voor degene die ingehaald wordt, het echt opletten blijft dat dat goed gaat. Want we hebben een immens veld aan auto's staan hier. 52 auto's aan de start. En dat geeft natuurlijk spektakel.
We staan hier bij Christian Frankenhout. Die stond toch heerlijk te leunen tegen de vleugel van zijn Mercedes. Dus wat dat betreft kunnen we ook wel even verder praten. Duitse journalisten hebben we ook al geïnterviewd. Ja, Christian, je rijdt overduidelijk toch wel in een van de snellere auto's in dit veld. Dat is gisteren wel gebleken. Dit is geen vreemde auto voor jou natuurlijk, zo'n Mercedes SLS. Hoe zie jij de race tegemoet?
Nou ja, gisteren de eerste 3 uur gehad. We hebben 2 auto's in het veld. Eentje staat helemaal vooraan en eigenlijk waar ik nu bij sta, staat eigenlijk helemaal achteraan. Met deze hebben we pech gehad met start nummer 1, ABS-problemen, versnellingsbakproblemen. Versnellingsbak is gewisseld, daardoor hebben we wel 10 ronden straf, maar door de ABS-problemen hadden we ook al meer dan 10 ronden verloren. Dus we liggen al meer dan 20 ronden eigenlijk achter op onze nummer 2 auto, die helemaal vooraan ligt. Dus met deze auto is het gewoon uitrijden, zien hoe ver we nog komen. Als we top 10 halen, dan is dat denk ik nog goed. En ja, die andere auto, daar gaan we gewoon mee voor de winst.
Hoe zitten jullie met brandstof bij het begin van de hervatting van de race?
Ik schat zo in dat wij nog 40 tot 50 minuten nog kunnen rijden op de tank die we nu hebben.
En dan moet je uiteraard naar binnen komen. Ja, dus in die zin vanuit een achterstandspositie moet je terugknokken. Maar ja goed, je hebt vandaag nog 9 uur te racen. Dat is natuurlijk niet niks.
Nee, absoluut niet. Ik bedoel, ja, mensen zeggen ja, 9 uur is aan de ene kant zo voorbij. Het is geen 24 uur, maar toch. Je hebt gisteren in de 3 uur gezien, kan ook al veel gebeuren. Dus ja, wat zeg je, aan lange afstandswedstrijden weet je het nooit. Pas, laat maar zeggen, als de laatste pitstop geweest is, kan je een beetje zien van ja, waar staat iedereen. En dan weet je eigenlijk wat de eindstand wordt.
Nou, we gaan het helemaal zien. Ik wens jou ontzettend veel succes met je teammaten. En nou, we gaan zien of we elkaar aan het eind van de race weer treffen.
Dat gaan we zeker doen.
Veel succes Christian Frankenhout met de nummer 1 Hofor Racing Mercedes. Die helaas niet in de voorste startrij staan, maar ze gaan hun best doen om verder naar voren te komen. Erik, hij is weer voor jou.
Ja, wat het team heel goed gedaan heeft, is dat ze met 5 rijders instappen in zo'n auto. Ze zetten 2 auto's neer en ze wisselen door op beide auto's. Dus zo zou het kunnen zijn dat Frankenhout...
12 hours of Zandvoort, sponsored by Hankook. We've had 3 hours already, and it's a very eventful 3 hours it was. And I'm sure that Bruce and John will take you through some of the instances and events of those first 3 hours. But now the cars are warming up on the grid for the second part, the 9 hours, starting in just 28 minutes time and running on till 7 o'clock local, that's 6 o'clock in the UK. And in front of me are cars that are looking battered, dented, dirty, because at the end of the 3 hours they all went straight down to Park Fermé where they had to stay and they were not allowed to be touched, and all that they've been allowed to do is drive them to the grid, park them behind their particular grid lady and look at them and just hope things are okay. Now, interestingly, one of the cars we're looking at straight away here on the front of the grid, and the front of the grid is composed of the number 2 Mercedes SLS and of course the number 9 Ferrari 458 of Scuderia Praha, almost entirely put there by Peter Cox, who's done that fantastic disappearing act where I've had it in my eye the entire time and now he's disappeared. The interesting thing about the Praha car is it's carrying quite a significant amount of damage on the rear end. The rear wing's not at the right angle, it's got a big dent, and if I can bump into Peter Cox in a minute I will ask him all about that. That's the car you can hear revving away, but the car that's sitting on the pole position for the second half of the race is car number 2. Now the thing is that whilst the cars came across with various leads of 10 seconds or 12 seconds or 17 seconds over each other, everything is reset as far as laps are concerned. So the first 4 cars in the Premier GT3 or the A6 class it's called here are all starting from scratch, and the only advantage that the number 2 car has over the final car on the first lap, the number 33 Martini SLS, is the 4 slots on the grid. So we are starting from scratch with the number of laps you've completed. Let's see if we can grab a quick word with one of the drivers in the leading car, and it's Martin. After all that work yesterday, you've managed to get yourself the lead of the number 2 car of about a metre. How do you feel this race format works?
Oh, the meter is all we need for winning, so this should be no problem.
This car had a very easy run. Your sister car, the car 1, I believe that's had some major work overnight?
We had a gearbox failure, so we changed the gearbox. This will give us 10 laps penalty, but we are in good hope.
So the point now, obviously, is you the 5 of you are driving both cars. Will you still carry on driving, equally, or will you perhaps put your faster driver in this leading car and the guys who are more relaxed will go in the other car?
Yeah, that's what we'll do. We have to do all 5 drivers in both cars, but the faster car, the slow drivers will do only 1 stint, and then we go to the slower car.
Well, best of luck. I think that's part of the tactics is drivers. The other tactic, Peter Cox. I think that's a man I need to get hold of before he gets into the car. Excuse me, he's thinking about it now. Peter, quick word for us at Peter. That was a quite outstanding run you put in yesterday. You made up a couple of laps, but the car's carrying some damage. Where did that come from?
Yeah, I think the start driver had a bit of a moment and went off into the gravel, and he, as you can see, he hit just the rear wing. And initially I reported to the team that I thought we had an engine problem because it was not running so strong anymore, and there was also a lot of grass in the radiator, so initially I thought maybe the engine has been overheated. But in the end, quite obvious what is wrong.
So basically you've just got far too much downforce now.
Yes, I got too much downforce and not enough power compared to the taxis. So I mean I have to yeah, you have to manage through the traffic, and but my co-drivers have enough speed to to have a good result. So it was really a shame that that it happened like that, but at least the car was running fantastically. The the Scuderia Prague team did a fantastic job, and the car is really nice to drive now.
You did about 2 hours yesterday. Are you going to get in and drive for a bit at the start of the day, or are you going to do a driver change straight away?
Well, I think the plan will be I got a 20-second penalty for a yellow flag infringement, but I will do I think 1.5 stint. That's the plan at the moment.
And despite the car being in its damaged state, do you still think you're in with a chance of the overall win?
Ah, for sure. You know, it is still 9 hours to go, so it's quite a long way. And as I said, I think my co-drivers are really good enough to have a strong result. Obviously, you know, the car was on pole, that they can swap the drivers, so you know it will be difficult. But if we keep running, you know, still a long way. And
as a proud Dutchman, how do you feel about having an event of this stature at Zandvoort?
It's a lot better than 2 weeks ago because it was pouring down with rain in the ADAC GT Masters, and so for that respect it's much nicer. And I must say, Creventic is doing a fantastic job. You know, I mean, again, you know, a lot of organisers should have a look at them and use them as an example for me.
Peter, thank you very much. And it is amazing, actually. I do believe possibly the Dutch are even more obsessed with the weather than the British, because literally that is the conversation has been, you know, you've brought the sun, the weather's great, it's fantastic. So it is it's nice to be in a country that's equally concerned about precipitation and sunshine. So now, behind in 4th place is the 33 Mercedes SLS, and one of the drivers is Michael Schurz. Marco, we spoke to you before the start of the first bit of the race. 3 hours in, how do you assess the Martini 33's car's first part?
Well, until now, I think we are doing good. We had I think Renger had an issue with the door, lost some time, but it's all fine, all running fine. So, and then Christian did a great job. So it's now up to me to at least keep the place.
I mean, it's an interesting thing. I mean, during the course of the 3 hours yesterday, we saw some cars going quickly and then having problems, and the tactics are beginning to play. I mean, is there an ace up the sleeve of this car? Do you have better fuel consumption? Can you run it in a different way, or are you going to have to rely on problems for other people to win?
No, I think everyone has the same fuel consumption. We just take it not easy, but we try not to push the car too hard, so just let it finish, that we don't have issues with the gearbox, maybe shift a little earlier, just take it a little more quiet, and that's our way to try to finish it in a good position. Yeah.
You're still enjoying it?
Not now, but I think I'm really too nervous, but I will be in maybe half an hour.
Oh, right. So, look, the nerves of the man on the grid who knows he's got to get in and do the business. So on the third position, sorry, I've gone 1, 2, 4, 3, which is the Corvette. The Corvette, which was the car which saw a lot of problems in qualifying, where it had to be rebuilt after a shunt which took out the front right. Let's see if I grab a quick word with Mr. Sidjoff. Hello, sir. Assess the chances of the number 5 car. You're starting third. You've run a slightly different tactics as far as fuel is concerned to the Mercedes. Do you think you're in with a chance of a win?
It's going to be difficult. They're quick guys. We have a little bit of penalty already because one of my co-drivers passed on the yellow. So I don't know how that will work out for us. But I think, I think we have a very good chance on the podium, yes.
One thing I noticed was that in both the stops you made yesterday, you changed tyres. Is that because the car is the car, after the accident, is the car perhaps not running quite straight and it's getting through the tyres more, or is that just part of the overall tactics anyway?
No, this car is eating tyres, and this track is eating tyres. So we didn't expect that to happen now.
Wish you the best of luck. And the reason I asked that is because we asked one of his teammates on the grid for the first start, the second start, he said their intention was to run the entire event on 7 sets of tyres. They're already on their 3rd set, and of course we're only 3 hours of the 9 hours in. It's interesting that a lot of people are mentioning they've got penalties. We did see penalties being served, and unfortunately they're served right underneath the commentary box. So Bruce and John can't always see them being served, and it's interesting they're 20 seconds, because we were trying to work out whether they were 15 or 30 seconds. We kind of half saw them, so pretty obviously there's been a whole raft of these yellow flag infringement penalties which are served at 20 seconds at a time. So I think there's a number of people will be coming in the first few laps to serve a 20-second drive-through, which should make it all rather exciting. Now, one of the Lamborghini drivers, it's Michael Gotts. Michael, I take it you're starting the number 10 today, the very attractive Lamborghini Gallardo.
Yes, I'm first time here in Zandvoort. I drive last year 1 hour of this car. I'm a gentleman driver. And now I start from 5.
the car was leading for a lot of the first part of the section, and then you had a couple of pit stops right at the end, including picking up fuel, and you seemed like you may have come in for your final stop after the 10-minute embargo, and have you picked up a penalty for that?
I have the penalty was not for me, for the Jerome Moule, and I must wait 10 seconds or 5, I don't know, and then I must go to pit stop for petrol, but I do it not. I drive out, and then I come in, and so we lost places.
Well, you lost a couple of laps, but you can make it up. It's a great car. And we've yet to see anyone run particularly clean. I'm not quite sure, and again, there was a 10-minute curfew at the end of the first session you weren't listening to us, where cars weren't allowed to come into the pits, and we kind of think that the Lamborghini did, which should be a 2-lap penalty, but Bruce will be the man with his finger on the pulse of that one. Certainly Marcel didn't seem to think he had a penalty, so if the driver doesn't think he has one, who are we to argue on that point?
Never tell the driver, Nick. Never tell the driver.
Yes, he might drive even faster.
We do have quite a lot of penalties, though. We had 6 cars stay in the pits overnight rather than park firme, and they all drew a 10-lap penalty. And I think chief among those, we heard earlier from the other Hofer Racing, the same Hofer Racing crew, but their sister car, the number 1, was in overnight, had a complete gearbox work, and in the garage next door, the Synchro Motorsport Honda Civic that was going so well for Martin Byford, Stephen Ritchie took it over and on his outlap dropped it at the 3rd corner. And they were working until 1 o'clock. So I said, what do you think of these, the way that the race format goes, 3 hours and then a big break before 9 hours? They said it couldn't have worked better. Because they reckon it was probably 2.5 hours. Sorry, for the car next door, the Mercedes, it was going to be 2.5 hours for the gearbox, and for them it was until 1 in the morning.
And in fairness to Stephen, they had timed that perfectly, because they came in with about 1.5 minutes to go before
Less than
the
that,
curfew.
John, it was 25 seconds.
It was, you're right. They filled it, they brim-filled the 57 car, and Stephen dropped it, as you say, going back out again for the last 10 minutes of his stint. Otherwise, they would have been in great shape.
They will, and Nick will be talking about this, I think, for the first hour or so, because how much fuel have all these cars got? We're going to see this race order really be rejigged. Those that managed to fill themselves up last night will be laughing.
I talked to Jakob Christensen this morning at the hotel, who is in the Renault Clio Sport that leads that A2 category, and they were looking over their shoulder at that car, and I think Jakob had just got out of the car. It's Tom Christensen's brother, by the way, in case you're thinking. Yes, it is. TK down at Le Mans this weekend, and we'll be picking up a report from Le Mans later on in the broadcast this afternoon from Mobile One Radio Le Mans 91.2 FM. But yes, they were looking over their shoulder at that synchro car and wondering if they had maybe been out fumbled. But when he saw the car in the barrier, of course, at Hugenholtz box right in front of us, that all went awry. Let's get back down to Nick Damon on the grid.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I've now walked past all the A6 class cars. Now, interestingly, the cars are grouped on the grid by class.
Correct.
Even though some of the cars behind, and I'm going to speak to the number 90 driver, Verban in a second, who's in a much higher overall position. He's actually behind all the SLSs. I'm just going to grab a quick word. Oh, he's got a young child being helped into them again. Grab a quick word with... Jorg, it's an interesting situation. You're actually ahead of some of these people in the race, but you're starting behind them because of the class structure. This car's been going absolutely superbly, hasn't it?
Yes, it really does indeed. The car is very quick. It lacks a little bit of power on the straight, so that's the problem we have with the Mercedes. I had a fight yesterday for about 18 laps. It's just always, you kind of catch up in the corners, and then he goes away on the straights, and this goes back and forth all the time.
I mean, there is a good chance this car could pick up an overall podium, not just a class win. Is that the aim for the team now?
Well, it's a long race, 12-hour races are always long. So many things can happen during that race, so we're not really planning that ahead. We're just going to do our best and hope that we're going to end up as far as front as possible.
Now, as you say, it's a 12-hour race. Now, McGann Trophy races, to my knowledge, all those years ago, were about 40 minutes. What have you done to the car to make it into an endurance machine from what it was obviously a very powerful sprint machine?
Engine-wise, nothing's been done. It's the original engine that was used in the Megane Cup. The brakes are changed. The rims, we're using central lockings, and basically it's a little bit on the motor management which is done, but that is it.
Wish you best of luck. Your car looked fantastic all yesterday, thank you. Now next to them is the 88, which is one of the GC cars, which is remarkably in one piece. The red one, the white one has been cocking at the back of its body for most of the time. We then move back to a brace of big the TTRS, and then of course one of the first of the large Aussie V8s with the Ford Focus body shell. Just see if I can grab. There's a lack of drivers for this particular one because it's on the 93. I'm not sure who's in the car at the moment. He's doing his drinks bottle put in, and then you move back down. Let's see if I can just grab a quick word with one of these. Sorry, excuse me. I'm just a quick word with the young man in the car. First of all, I can't. So, which of the three New Zealanders are you?
Which of the three what?
Australians.
Australians. My God, I've misread the call.
You're looking at the wrong flag.
I am now going to go and sacrifice myself on the.
I'm Malcolm M. Noel.
So Malcolm, this car is obviously designed in many ways for the Australian world. How's it handling the ups and downs and the dunes of Holland?
Yeah, it's going really well. It's quite. It's nice to drive. It's quite nimble. It turns in really well, and yeah, we're pretty happy with the way it's performing at the moment.
5-litre V8, so you've got a lot of power. Is that a major advantage in a tight circuit like this when you're trying to get past cars?
Yeah, it is, but it's also because of its weight. It's very light in the back end, so you've just got to make sure you're on the throttle fairly gently.
And there's 9 hours to go. Are you desperate for a class win or just desperate for a finish?
Oh no, we want to be in with. We'd like to see a podium in our class. We're pretty comfortable that the car will be reliable. We just want to do some consistent laps.
Thanks, Malcolm. The Australian, he says, he knows currently now that the whole of Shepherd's Bush has got a hit out on me. Moving across now to the other side, I think the car that's actually in the SP2 pole, which is the Audi TTRS in Frank de Strup. This Audi, you're the only Audi TTRS on the field. What are the strengths of this machine?
Oh, the strength, it's very reliable. I mean, it's a factory-built race car, and it actually won a race at Nürburgring, the VLN, so it's quite fast, can beat the R8, but I mean, it has a lot of aerodynamics, which you need, and it has a lot of aid systems, which gives you confidence as a driver. You can push, and you don't need to be afraid of, yeah.
I mean, a lot of people have been saying that one of the big challenges here at Zandvoort is the traffic. Now, you're one of the middle cars, so you're being overtaken by the big boys and you're overtaking the small boys. I mean, how difficult is it on a lap when you're having to do both?
Yeah, it's always a bit difficult. I mean, we've done Barcelona, 24 hours, Dubai, and Nürburgring and all of this, and I would say that this track, especially at the beginning of the track where it's very narrow, it gets quite messy sometimes, but I mean, you need to look in the mirror as much as you look forward, and you need to be a bit smart. Don't do anything stupid. It's easy to destroy the race by being too eager to pass someone, but it's difficult.
Thank you very much. I'm about to be taken off the grid, but I'm going to need to talk to one more person, John, and that is Gary. Gary Williams from Creventic. Gary, you've managed to pull it off, a fantastic race in your home country. You must be massively proud, and what a superb event so far.
Yeah, we are really proud. Actually, we started 10 years ago with Dubai. Now, finally, we are in our home country. We have over 50 cars on the grid. Yes, I'm proud, to be honest.
And of course, this new partnership with Hankook as well.
Yeah, it's actually amazing. Of course, we always work quite well with Dunlop. Now it changed to Hankook, but they did an incredible job. Every single car has the correct tire, so the team seemed to be very pleased. So I think it's a quite new brand and doing well.
So who came up with the idea of a 12-hour race split 3 hours and 9 hours? Was that in the bar, in the pub, or a restaurant, or was it actually a kind of a proper marketing meeting?
No. I could sell it for as a marketing point of view, but actually we are in Holland. We have a lot of rules, so we are not allowed to make noise after 7 o'clock in the evening. So we were not possible to do it at once. So we had to split it. Finally, it seems to work quite well, because yesterday evening after 3 hours, all the mechanics and the drivers they were in the paddock while barbecuing, so it worked perfect.
Gary, thank you very much, and I now have to leave, so off and up to John Hinoff and Boris Jones.
Thanks so much, Nick. The Sky off to my right. I'm sitting looking the wrong way down the pit straight at the remaining 52 cars. Actually, all of the 52 cars are pretty much out there. And out towards the right-hand side is the sea, and it is beautifully clear and blue sky above that. A few bits of white cotton wool cloud drifting over from inland towards the 4.3 kilometres of Zandvoort, snaking its way through the dunes here in the Netherlands. The grid is being cleared, and we'll see everybody up on the roof of the pit building, which is down a story or so below us, probably 2 below us here in our elevated position where we can see about 70% of the circuit. Good morning, welcome along if you are just joining us for the conclusion of the inaugural running of the Hankook 12H 12 hours. Nick Damon doing sterling work and now countdown to green on the grid, and it's Bruce Jones and John Hindhaugh up here in the booth. Well, we had plenty of questions yesterday, Bruce. Some of them, only some of them, were answered. I do feel there'll be a slightly different feel to today's race with it being a bit longer. It did feel like a 3-hour sprint yesterday. It certainly went over as quickly as that. I think the first hour of this race is likely to be the same, but at some stage, are we expecting the pace just to ease a little bit?
I don't think so, John. I think what we're going to find is we're going to finally understand the ramifications of who put how much fuel in their car at the end of last night. Certainly we saw in the lead group some very different tactics. We had the V8 Racing Corvette and the Lamborghini Gallardo coming in way earlier than their rivals to make their first fueling stop. We will talk about this later. We only have 4 fueling pumps and 1 extra one for diesel. There are only 6 diesel runners, so they're looking lucky. But a lot of the teams are aware when they did the race at Barcelona, they could see the refueling before the pit entry, so they could judge when it was clear for a driver to come in. Here, some of the drivers are definitely going to get it wrong, and they're going to come in and have to queue. With a good fueling pit stop, you lose 2 laps. To potentially lose 4 laps because you're sitting in a queue would be disastrous. 6 cars came in overnight. They didn't go to Parc Fermé. We had the number 1 Mercedes having a new gearbox fitted. We have the Synchro Motorsport car being reshaped after it was bent. The 76, the Nissan Nederland 370Z drive shaft problems, and that's still sitting down in pit lane, so they will be starting from the back. But as Nick mentioned down on the grid, they're not starting in finishing order last night, they're starting in class order, the finishing order in each of those classes. So the fastest cars, the A6, they're filling the front end of the grid, followed by the SP2 class, which is one of the sort of silhouette cars. That's led by the Renault Megane Trophy runners. And then we have SP3, slightly less powerful silhouette cars. Then we go back to A5, and we then go down through the engine sizes through A5, A3T, which is turbo or supercharged, A2, the small engines, they're the Renault Clios, and then at the back we have the cars that can run the longest without a fuel stop, which are the D1 class cars, the diesels at the back. But what you need to know, on the front row, and they had dominated the race right through the 3 hours, Hofer Racing with their Mercedes. One of them has fallen, but it is going to be back, but with a 10-lap penalty, as all the overnight garage visitors had to take. So number 2 is leading away as they start their final. Are they going to be 1 or probably 2 laps, so the field can bunch up as it goes around behind the car, the BMW safety car at the front, and then in second place on the grid, Peter Cox in that fantastic Praha Racing Ferrari 458, the only one, which is unusual. And I think we'll see that car make a bid for the lead and try and get in front of the Benz and the Corvette as this unwinds. How it finished last night: Hofer Racing 2, Mercedes-Benz, Scuderia Praha, number 9, Ferrari, Chevy Corvette, number 5, Mercedes 33, the Car Collection Motorsport, then the Renault Megane Trophy, the SP2 leader, Equipe Vacher, the Las Moros Racing team. 2 laps behind, don't forget. The first 4 have no gaps. And the key thing about that is everybody who finished on the same lap now. Think of it as what we had last night was a safety car coming out at 7 o'clock, and they've been running around behind the safety car all night. That hasn't happened. They've been in Parc Fermé. But imagine that's what's happened, because that is effectively what we are restarting at now. If you were on the same lap as somebody, even if you were 1 minute and 35 seconds behind, that has gone. The other thing is that they've been reordered on the grid. So imagine that safety car train has now been reordered so that they are in class order with the fastest at the front, as you would shuffle them around, say, in a Grand Am race of old and put all of the DPs at the front. Just want to pick up there, just looking at the fields that went around in class order, and the number 88, which was the red GC Automobiles car, should have been running along with the Renault Megane Trophy, number 90, but he's halfway down the order, and he's now trying to overtake to get himself back into position. So the first problem for that car was clearly pulling away from the grid. But when we got to the checkered flag last night, we had the top 4 all on the lead lap, but the gap between first and fourth, which was the Hofer Racing number 2 and the Car Collection 33 Mercedes, was only 1 minute 20 seconds. But we saw in that final lap, do you remember, we suddenly thought, what's happened to Peter Cox? He lost 9 seconds, and we thought, he's being very, very clever. He's saving some fuel. Yeah,
Absolutely. And, you know, he now has the opportunity. He might have just been cleaning his tyres off as well, getting ready to go into Parc Fermé. Parc Fermé, the furthest away I've ever seen from a pit lane, by the way.
You do need a paddock bike to get out there. It must be half a kilometre away.
So they are off on the far side of the circuit and coming down already. The safety car leading them around, or the pace car as it is at the moment, going down through the start-finish line towards the Tarzan box, the first corner.
And we saw this yesterday, John, that when they go on their first parade lap, the field stretches over at least half a lap. We can still see them coming onto the back straight as the leaders are behind the pace car are going around and out of Tarzan. So they really do need to slow it down at the front of the field behind the BMW pace car on this second parade lap, so that we can have a good, proper, fully bunched restart to this race. And of course, as we've mentioned, John, the field has been rejigged last night. Now they've dropped it, not into finishing order, because the Renault Megane trophy car finished in 5th, but it's starting down, I think, in about 9th or 10th place behind all of the A6 runners, some of whom it had roundly beaten over the course of the first 3 hours.
So you're listening to RadioLeMans.com around the world with Bruce Jones, Nick Damon and John Hindhaugh getting ready for the second part of the Hankook 12 Hours of Zandvoort. Now, interestingly, and completely differently to yesterday, the wind is blowing off the sea early today when it was coming off the land yesterday.
Yeah, we didn't get the onshore breeze until about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, or 5, just when Nick started complaining about the cold down there. But we're fine, we cook in this glass-sided box. But what I love is the sheer variety at the top of the field. Yes, we've seen the SLS AMG Mercedes, you know, filling the bulk of the A6 class, but we got the Ferrari 458 GT3 of Scuderia Praha starting second. We got the V8 Racing Chevrolet Corvette starting third, then another Mercedes, and then a Lamborghini Gallardo that really got right to the front yesterday. So we have plenty of potential for this order to be rejigged. Whether it'll happen during this first stint, how long the first stint will be for the various cars, that is the thing that will really let us know what was going on last night. But certainly with this break, there's a whole new tactic, another raft of things that the team bosses have to think about. And the good thing is, I think all the cars are now out of the pits, with the exception of the Nissan Nederland 370Z, which was the pace setter in the SP3 class, but it's sitting waiting at pit exit. But I was in the garage earlier and they were having trouble getting it started. Drive shaft problems were what kept it in overnight. That's what cost it 10 laps.
So we're waiting now for the field to just form themselves up around the far side of the circuit, heading down towards the back chicane, which they are doing now. The Hans Ernst Bocht and the BMW Touring, which takes the car around. How appropriate that we have a Touring in front of a grand Touring field. And heading around to the last two corners, they'll appear back out of the final right-hander, Arie Luijendijk, and down towards us at the start line. And we are ready to go. Once again, we're going to get underway just a minute or so early to give us a chance to hit that curfew time of 7 o'clock this evening. 9 hours of endurance racing exclusively live here on RadioLeMans.com in sound and vision. Check out the pictures that we have. Not full TV coverage, but giving you at least a little bit of the atmosphere and the action. But certainly full radio commentary here on RadioLeMans.com with the team here at Zandvoort. Another fabulous Creventic event. And the passionate team that have put this together. Some of them standing just to my left at the moment, just enjoying their handiwork as the whole field comes by around. I've got goosebumps. Yeah, I've got goosebumps.
So have I, John. I do in any race meeting, but in the circuit is brilliant as Zandvoort. The sun is shining, a fantastic field, a brilliant format of racing. The pace car is coming down into the pits, and the lead two, the number 2 Mercedes and the Ferrari 458, waiting to take the start. Take it away, John.
It looks like there's a little bit of jiggery and pokery there as the Mercedes-Benz was holding Peter Cox back, and that's allowed the Corvette a run down the inside into Tarzan, but can't make it. Peter Cox looks to the outside, the left-hand side of Tarzan. Everyone runs across the roof of the garages to have a look around the back of the circuit. It's so close, so compact here at Zandvoort, but it is the Mercedes-Benz, the Hofer Racing SLS that takes the lead. But look at third.
The big move is the number 1 Mercedes that had the new gearbox overnight. That was down in about 8th or 9th on the grid, having had those problems. He has got to really, really fly. 10 laps they've lost. So it's Mercedes number 2 in the lead, Ferrari number 7, number 9 in second place, and the number 1 Mercedes making up ground. This is the car they've got to make fly.
That is the 44th place car. 8th in class, mind you, but 44th place places back down the grid as the white BMW
number 38
goes off it. That was in 52nd position.
Yeah, well, it had
yes.
The line. I said, what were you changing on it overnight? They went wheels.
Everything.
It was suspension. It was the lot.
Yeah. So Hoffa Racing, the 2 car, still leads it. 10 laps of penalty for that number 1 car, sitting in 44th position. So lots of ground to make up there. But the leading 3, in fact, the leading 4 are on the lead lap, of course. So that's 2, 9, 5 and 33 as they head round the far side of the circuit.
1 and 2, they've got number 1 has got past Peter Cox's Ferrari. He's going to try and get ahead of number 2 and hair off, and at least to start making up one of the 10 laps that he lost overnight. So it's 2 leading 1 as they go through the Kumo Bocht, which is the first of the 2 right-handers that complete the lap, that bring the cars back onto the start-finish straight.
So we wait for them to come round, and I wonder, in fact, if the number 1 will be allowed to go. It is still the 2 leading. This is exactly how we started yesterday afternoon with the 2 from the 1. They were racing for position then with Maxi Burgess, it was, in the 1, and just nipping out of the pit lane right into the leaders is one. I think that's one of the Seats that's just come out there, right into the middle of the pack. No, in fact, it's the Renault Clio with the blue front end.
53, that's the Team Sally Racing entry, but the car that's lost ground is the Lamborghini Gallardo. It's fallen back behind the Renault Megane Trophy car, so it had those problems last night. It lost the 2 laps, it's 2 laps down, and it's losing position at the start as the 2 Hoffa Racing Mercedes pull clear. But don't forget, the number 1 Mercedes in that group has a 10-lap penalty from last night.
So as it was yesterday, it is Hop Suisse at the head of the field, but not battling for position. 1 or 2 cars immediately coming into the pit lane, and I expect to see them nipping down towards the...
Well, that was the DK Racing Renault Clio that went so well yesterday in the A2 class.
Yeah, I think. Oh no, they've had some incident. Nick Damon is down there. It's going up. It's got air jacks on that car, and immediately goes up. And the MG ZS comes in as well, but that looks to be going straight to the fuel pumps. And also at the far end of the pit lane is, and I missed that one coming in.
91.
91. Thank you, Nick.
No, I'm overlooking the fuel pumps at the moment because I was on the roof. What happened was the Clio just took fuel rather than starting. That's why he pinged out. So he actually filled himself up straight away and came out.
Good.
The 91's now done the similar thing. Just to say, we haven't got 52 cars.
No,
because BMW 5 litres gone home.
Yes, that's Saxon Motorsport car. That was the one I was meaning to mention. Number 38 BMW, we saw it on the grass down here, being pushed back into its garage. 2 Mercedes really breaking clear. And despite its very fast getaway from the grid, the V8 Racing Corvette doesn't have an answer to the pace of that Ferrari 458 with Peter Cox at the wheel. And Cox, don't forget, said that he had too much downforce because the car damaged.
That's 34, which came in, as you said, with a small amount of cosmetic damage, the BMW. Now that's gone for the fuel as well. I think that may have been a planned repair from damage that was left overnight. The 99 MG, as you say, that's picked up, I'm assuming this morning, has picked up a big thump to the front right, and it's up on axle jacks as well. So it looks quite like it's had a bit of a problem already this morning. I'm just going to either look round and come back to you.
Well, one car that's really, really flying is the GDL Racing Mercedes SLS, number 7. That I must have Gianluca De Lorenzi at the wheel. It's going really well. That dropped way down the order yesterday to about 40th place, but it's matching the number 33 Mercedes that started this morning in 4th place, and looks like he's going to try and get past on this lap. The field now really stringing out after the 3 laps since this restart this morning, looking to see which one's going to come back round 1 and 2. Hold on a second. It looks like it's a problem. We've got red flags. We've got waved yellows. Code 60 been thrown. I just picked up the Mercedes coming slowly onto the back straight there.
And we can see the 57 Synchro Motorsport Honda is back out looking as pristine as it did yesterday, but having lost a lot of time after Stephen Ritchie had that incident. And we've got an issue out on the track. Our first Code 60 of the race.
Yeah, just saw a message. Car 72, that's the Risi Racing BMW in the diesel class, will be towed back in.
Diesel class leader when we restarted, and that was the guys who had done so well yesterday. It's going to be recovered to the pit lane. Can't see where that issue is, and apologies if you've got pictures and you can, but there's a big red flatbed about to pull out onto the start-finish straight with a huge crane on it. No, it's coming. In fact, it's going to come down pit lane. That's a nice piece of driving, actually, by the chap behind the wheel of that MAN flatbed.
John?
Nick Dearman, go ahead.
Are they running the same rules under Code 16 and stopping the pits they do in Dubai, where you end up taking a sort of stop-and-go penalty for coming into the pits during the Code 16?
If you need to, there is a balancing thing, yes.
Yeah, there's 3 cars. The 41 has just had tyres and gone for fuel, but he was in before it was thrown, as was the 105 Ginetta. They both came in before the Code 60 was thrown, but of course they're still in it now it's on, and I can never remember how that applies.
Well, they were both class leaders in their respective classes, so they're clearly good runners, and that flatbed is now going out onto the circuit again. We can't pick it up, but I can tell you that the 2 and 1 Mercedes leading the race on the circuit, but don't forget number 1 is 10 laps in arrears. Just going down into Tarzan now, followed at the 60 kph regulation speed by Peter Cox in the Scuderia Praha Ferrari. Where is the V8 Racing Corvette? The 33 Mercedes has come into the pits under these conditions.
Car is going through the pit lane and going for fuel, and we also have the number 3 car as well. The Corvette is serving his 20-second stop-go for a yellow flag infringement, and the petrol pumps are now full, so anyone else who comes now is going to have to queue up. So they've got that stop-go penalty we were told about on the grid for the Corvette is being served. I'm not sure how that works out, whether you can do that under a Code 60, I don't know. But they're doing it, and they've been stop and held, and they will then, it doesn't look like they're expected at their pit, in fairness, but there are 4 or 5 more people who are taking cars soon.
I must say, Nick, I can't, and John as well, why, if you're in number 2 Mercedes, would you not let number 1 move into the lead? I know you can't under Code 60, but out on the circuit, that's the one that has 10 laps to make up, and the driver... And more. And 10-lap penalty plus all the... how many laps down was it last night? Let me tell you, it was... 81 laps, and the lead is 14 laps.
It was 14 before, yes.
24 laps. In arrears. I would just let it go, so then it would only be 23 laps down, John.
The Corvette has been held for a lot more than 20 seconds because the number 82 BMW has been in and served his 20-second penalty and had to park behind the Corvette and then go past him. So the Corvette is obviously a multiple offender. He's still sitting there, and I think he's been there for at least a minute already.
It's very galling unless we catch it coming to the pits, and we have no idea they're down beneath us.
And there's 2 more. There's a number of cars coming in, so if they're going to fuel, they're going to have an interesting period of time.
Zest Motorsport from Wellingborough coming in the 44 Seat, the 51, I think that is.
Yeah, that was ATM Motorsport, one of the many Renault Clios. The back end of the field is very much Renault Clio and small BMW territory.
White car as well, looks like another BMW just coming through, and still that Corvette, that Corvette is still serving its penalty.
It's almost too soon to get a jump start penalty for this morning.
Well, no, I wonder if that is a...
and now he's been released.
Yeah, as we see him go through now with the black rear end on that car, looks very mean and moody after that was wiped off yesterday.
Now, will he go for fuel or will he go straight out?
Well,
he's going for fuel.
How many people are down at the refuelling, Nick? Can you see from where you are?
2 of the Mercedes, the 3 and the 33, have just come back out again. So I think they topped up. I don't believe they had an empty tank. That was too quick. So they've literally topped themselves to the brim, the 3 and the 33. And there are spaces now at the pumps.
Okay, because we thought yesterday that it was effectively 2 racing laps, and they were lapping, let's say, in the 1 minute 45. Yeah, 3.5 minutes we reckon was a brimful tank.
Yeah, the 3 and the 33 just both topped up. They didn't take a full. They were just too quick to take a full load on, but they probably put 60, 70 litres in. And all goes quiet. But yeah, we got 3 of the smaller cars. I mean, there's an interesting combination going on here, where of course some of these cars have been carrying slight issues overnight, and they couldn't touch them if they finished the 3 hours as a rolling piece of equipment without losing 10 laps. So what they probably have is they've thought, well, we'll bring them in and try and sort out these minor issues as soon as possible once we're rolling. And of course that is thrown in with the Code 60. So it's pretty obvious, for example, that the 44 Zest car is having a little bit of a maintenance done, which they would have done last night. They hadn't been looking at a 10-lap penalty, as indeed is the white BMW in front of me that's having a bit of work done on the front left. But this is all stuff being done on the apron rather than in the garage. The 105 rejoined, making a full slug of fuel. So yeah, it's an interesting kind of calm period. The 75 now comes down past me.
Yeah, and here's one coming your way. It's red, it's got a black roof and a large rear wing. It's the number 9 Ferrari, Peter Cox, bringing that in as 2 and 1. The Hofer Racing Mercedes go onto another lap.
The Ferrari's got at least has a 20-second penalty. We know that. He told us on the grid. They are expecting the car, and they're going to give it fresh tyres, the number 9.
Well, he must be serving his penalty because he's gone under our commentary box and gone no further.
It's supposed to be 20 seconds, but then so was the Corvettes. That was about 2.5 minutes in the end.
Wait until the cuckoo comes out at the top. But it's very weird when you look at the two cars at the lead of the race on the circuit, just circulating slowly, but with no safety car in front of them, just having to lock it onto 60 kph and judge their own speed. The flatbed is so the Stricken 72 must have gone off at and pulled onto the infield at Tarzan because it's now on the flatbed.
Can't see it. Right.
Now on the flatbed coming to Gerlachbocht, can they peel it off anywhere? Maybe they can take it off just at the exit of Hunsrück, reverse the truck in there and then get the car back to the pits, because John, always with Creventic events, we try, if we can, to get the car back to the pit.
That is a very good point. If you are thinking that car is now done and done because of outside assistance, that's had quite a severe incident there. The rear deck is open. He's going to double back and do a U-turn right back into us here in front of us. And that car has had a fair little bang there.
But John, we saw Renger van der Zande driving around yesterday with the gull wing door open on his Mercedes. No problem. He did, a lap and a half until he could jerk the car to drop the door. That cost him third place for a moment. The Lamborghini went back ahead of him. But Renger, using great ingenuity, managed to get the door back down. Was rather pleased with himself afterwards, wasn't he?
He was, and Peter Cox is now in front of me. He was waiting a lot longer than 20 seconds. Whether the stop-and-go penalty got made longer because it was done under code 60, I don't know.
That could be a very good point.
He was there for about a minute. And I didn't see as long as the Corvette was. That was 4 tyres. Coxey gets away with his completely askew wing that really is much more of a barn door than a aerodynamic device at the moment.
Okay.
Also, sorry, Bridget, the Leipert Motorsport number 10 car came down the pit lane and went to the fuel station as well.
The Lamborghini Gallardo. Yeah. That was the one that came in after the final 10 minutes last night. So did they not allow them to have any fuel?
That might explain why he's not picked up a 2-lap penalty, because there'd be no reason for him to go in again. Perhaps he didn't get any fuel. They went, no, don't do that. And they just drove right round and through and then didn't get the 2-lap penalty, which could be the reason why.
I think you could be onto something there. Also, I think you could be onto something too with the fact that the stop-go penalties, the 20-second penalties, seem to be longer because maybe they're calibrating them according to the lap time of the leading cars. A normal lap time will be 1 minute 45, and the first two have been going around in 4 minutes, just under 4 minutes 20. So maybe they more than double the penalty. But that is quite a lot of slide rule work, isn't it?
It's probably just a simple 20 seconds becomes a minute or something. Oh dear, the 72 is very, very heavily damaged. Front right is completely stoved in. They've lost bits of metal, bits of plastic. The front valance is gone. Looks like it's slightly bent the front end. The rear is okay. The rear deck is open only to allow them to put something in the back of it.
But he was sitting on.
They put some sandbags in the back of that to balance out the weight of the engine when they craned it up onto the top.
And the front.
You see.
Front left is okay. It's a front right rebuild.
Recovery expert Hindhoff here.
Hindhoff, a man of many, many talents and professions. But just to say, what a shame.
John.
You know, you have your night's rest, you have a decent meal, the car looks in good condition, and you drop it. They were sitting on a 3-lap lead in the D1 class, the racing car, and it was just running like clockwork yesterday. Oh well, how the fortune
they
can
have
turn.
broken the suspension, by the way. They just lift the car up, and the bottom link is broken, so that's going to be a whole left-hand side replacement, right-hand side front replacement. Given the fact that the chassis rails aren't damaged, which obviously is always a possibility. There's another BMW that's just stuck in. It's going to try and sneak out, which is going to be a problem because it's got a big tow truck. The 29 has come in for a bit of action as well. So I think there's a combination. This Code 60 has fallen quite well for a number of teams who wanted to do a little bit of a nip and tuck after the first 3 hours.
Yeah,
we're green.
Quite so, Nick. In fact, I thought you were going to have a very quiet time in the pits, apart from the odd few who were coming in for a spot of refueling. But we appear to be racing again. Green flags being waved around the circuit, so let them wind it up, and the drivers have spotted those, and they're waved at exactly the same point around the circuit to release the field. So, race again. Will the number 1 Mercedes now pull ahead of the number 2 and try and break clear? And you've still got pit visitors. In comes one of the another Seat 41, which was, I believe, leading. Yes, it was leading the A3T.
And he's now he's serving a penalty not under Code 60. So let's see what happens on this one. I actually stopped my start point, Kyle Walker would say. So he's just sitting there, and yeah, he has served a penalty of exactly 10 real seconds. So they must have a thing where the penalties under Code 60 are much longer.
Well, I like that level of thinking. I think it's very...
They do appear to have thought. I think what they've done is they've obviously hired a team manager and said, look at the rules, see how you think you can get round them, tell us what you do, and then they've headed all those off at the pass.
Yeah, well, makes an awful lot of sense to me. So, in the real world, not to do with that, but Kenneth Heyer is leading in the number 2. Peter Cox, well, he's been into the pits, he will drop down. So Mirko Schultes, no, he's been into the pits. Jörg Vivan, I think, will be up into second place. That's in that remarkable Renault Megane Trophy. You spoke to him just before the restart.
And it goes again, gentlemen, just to show that you don't have to have the $1 million GT3 car to come and do these endurance races. Still, we have Kenneth Heyer leading the race, of course, by 2.6 seconds from Peter Cox in the Ferrari, then Mirko Schultes in the 33, the second of the Benzes, and indeed the second of the car collection motorsport cars. Diederik Seethoff just moving back up into 5th position there for a moment in the Corvette. How did he lose that position?
No, hold on.
Of course,
it's the pitting. We've got to wait another lap. But what I did see then was the number 1 Mercedes has unlapped itself. Well, not really. Just sort of got ahead. Only 23 to go now, and that's Christian Frankenhout, who spoke to Nick yesterday, trying to make up some of the damage. And it is such a strange circumstance to have a set of 5 drivers who were sharing 2 cars, and they again have cycle. You had your turn in the potential winning car. Now go to the one that's lying 40th.
We've seen some drivers sharing cars before the Dubai 24 hours, but not a full crew split between 2 cars. And as we mentioned yesterday, and in fact the team just validating our thoughts, it actually takes quite a bit of logistical thinking to make sure that everybody can get through both cars because of the way the rules are written. When you get out of one car, you can't just go and jump in the other one.
No, and then we had the scene for the first hour of the race with Maxi Bouk, the 5th driver they brought in, the real pro, really chivying the race-leading number 2 car in number 1, and we thought one little slip down into Tarzan or somewhere, that could be very, very embarrassing for the team, but they said actually they were not just putting on a show, but they had it well under control. So the race leader number 2, which is Kenneth Heyer, just going around, trying to go around the outside of a Renault Clio Hugenholz box, but keeping his senses about him and not taking any risks, backing off. He's got time aplenty. But Peter Cox still listed as 2nd place, looking to see where on the circuit he is. He's a lap down at the moment, so Kenneth Heyer sitting pretty. We had the 4 cars on the same lap starting this race with everything squashed right down, but at the moment number 2 is just pulling clear because the others, Peter Cox, and in the number 9 Ferrari, the 33 and the 3 Mercedes, all came in for a pit stop. Peter Cox in close contact now with the V8 Racing Corvette, but there's another lap between them, so it's really getting a little bit spaced out, but they, don't forget, have to come in for fuel at some time soon, and certainly the number 2 Mercedes that's leading this race for Hofer Racing will be into the pits, I don't know, maybe about half an hour from now. Looking for any class movers after quite a lot of rejigging during that Code 60. As Nick pointed out, a lot of the teams needed a few little bits and bobs done that they wanted to do last night but couldn't because the cars were in Parc Fermé. One bit of good news, maybe Nick, you can see, is the Risi Racing BMW is back on pit lane. It seems to be, it was put into the garage and is now back out onto the apron.
The 72?
Yeah, 72.
No, that's because I think they have, because of the tightness of the garage and the fact they want to have a really good look at the front, they actually have a better look and a see because there's more space on that side, because that would be the wall side as such in their pit, so they actually can see more. The bottom wishbone is sheared off at the axle stub, so there are several people who need to, several parts that need to be replaced. And I think they're assessing whether they've actually got the bits, and the key point really on that one is obviously it's all then mounted to the core chassis rails. If they're bent, then that's game over. If they're not, then they can do a replacement, and that will take them, I don't know, probably a half an hour to an hour. They haven't sheared any bolts off, but yeah, so that's on the apron just because it's easier to see.
Well, one of the best battles between the A6 cars is between the Corvette with Diederik Seethoff in it and Peter Cox, who is sitting on a lead of 1 lap on it, but they're running almost nose to tail as they go up over Hunsrück through Rob Slotemacher-Bocht and then down through that wonderful right-handed, sort of over a crest, then down into the dip at Schifflach. But Kenneth Hauer in number 2, having had the Scuderia Praha Ferrari, the V8 Racing Corvette, and the number 33, a Martini liveried Mercedes of Car Collection Motorsport, all starting with him on that lead lap, is now sitting on a lead of an entire lap. That happened just so quickly.
And the 90 car has come in, the leader in the SP classes, and of course starting, I think he was probably about 3rd overall, wasn't he, when he came in?
Well, he was 5th when he came in.
And he's having tyres. Now I'm wondering whether this I assume is, oh no, he's been off. He's been off, Bruce. He's had an off. There is a large amount of gravel being taken out the car. The car is that recognisable dusty. I'm sorry, sir, you can't get away with it. I've seen you've been in the gravel, look to it. So he's had an off. Definitely he's been off on the left-hand side. Let me have a quick look to see if he actually went right off on both sides. Yep, he's managed to scoop a large amount of gravel on both sides. They're doing a precautionary tyre change. I assume he'll fuel as well. Probably not, apart from the time he lost in the gravel. This isn't going to be a major disaster, because at this point he almost certainly can take a fuel slug of fuel. I'm wondering whether they've run out. There's a slight concern about the front right and the front left. Yeah, they've got a problem with, they've got a problem with the front left. He's got a stone into the brake system, so they're trying to free up the stones out of the front left brake caliper, which is obviously a doubly difficult job because you can't touch the brake because it's still at probably 200 degrees. But he's managed to gravel rash his brakes, and a man is panicking to pull them through. They're using some interesting hammer. I think he's managed to get it out that front left. The front right is rotating. That's fine. The tyres are now on this class-leading machine. And luckily, I think the next up, the GC car, is many laps behind. He's dropped. He's off. So paid a little bit of a bigger price for the gravel trap than most do, because they had this problem with the front brake being locked up. Hopefully that's not caused any damage on the way round. I think what normally happens, of course, the big problem when you go in the gravel, Bruce, as you well know, is if you don't come in, you can get a stone caught between the rim and the brake, and it actually will wind away the inside of the rim, and suddenly you get an explosive deflation of the tyre.
Right,
if the rim fails.
A couple of changes in the classes, and apologies if we're not replying to you. We've got no internet today here in the booth, which is causing us a bit of issues. The two Peugeots, the 205 and 208, have gone to the lead of class A5. Last night it was the 82 MDM Motorsport BMW that was leading that class. That's now dropped down into 3rd position with Simon Knapp at the wheel of that car. And the reason I noticed that is because Vincent Rademacher has just done a 57.6 in that 205 number 205 208 push, and in fact he's in the pit lane. He's in the pit lane now, so that is only the, I think, well, that's the first stop today for that car. We haven't got running pit stops on yesterday's times. Yesterday they had, let me have a look, the 205 had only one pit stop yesterday, so that is that car's only 2nd pit stop. So I wonder if the 82 has had a pit stop early this morning as well. Yes, it has, and that's why it's lost the lead.
Exactly, and I'm just looking, the pit stop looks very standard indeed. Vincent Rademacher has been hauled out of the car. Nick?
Yeah, it's a full service, obviously, with the tyres. They've been running effectively for about an hour and a half on this combination. One of the French drivers has got in. I missed his name on his overalls as he went through there. But they have done a complete stop. It's interesting, isn't it? This is a strange one to stop effectively. I know we're 24 minutes into this second session, but in fairness, we were running around under the safety car, or the code 60 for 12. So it's an interesting tactical decision to make this change early in the morning. Perhaps they just wanted Vincent's experience on the restart.
You could be right. I mean, he does have experience this car. He said he drove it in the Nürburgring 24 last year, but certainly he is the pro. So the choice of, you said, couldn't tell which the French driver is, either Guillaume Romand or Mathieu Sentis.
I think it's Mathieu. Now they're having a slight problem getting this cut. Now they've got a slight issue. This is not as smooth as it looks. I think there's a download going on, which is the curse of most people trying to get out of the pit. The passenger seat is open. The download is going on. They're looking heavily at what the issues are. The driver's been asked to perform a functional rev check, so he's going up through the revs, and then he's asked to stop doing that with a big wave of a finger. And there's definitely an issue. They're sitting there, and the manager. Of course, this is a very professional team. You've got a lot of guys here who have a lot of technical knowledge, both and worked in this team in the Nürburgring, and they're certainly not happy about something. It looks amazingly pristine, considering obviously it's not being cleaned and it's run for 3 and a bit hours. It looks unharmed. It's been driven very well. Oh, that was near disaster because as soon as the man disconnected the computer, the driver wanted to be away, but they hadn't actually shut the door, so there was nearly a sort of a pseudo situation with the SLS. Let me see if I can grab a word with Vincent and just see where the system, the information was. Vincent's just coming out for a quick word. Vincent, that was an interesting tactical choice that you just in the first 15 or 20 minutes or so this morning, and rather than changing last night. Why did you decide to do that?
Because as the strategic guys, I don't know. But yeah, it was not bad. It was just a bit difficult because the tire was from last stint yesterday, so it was really at the end. But now we are. Our thing is to save one stop at the end of the race, simply for that.
So I noticed once you changed drivers and changed tyres, the computer was connected for a long time to the car. Were you reporting a particular problem?
No, I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know why it was like that.
You just drive, okay, Vincent. There we are. So that's what I said. It's a very large, very professional team that knows what it's doing, but obviously doesn't actually tell the drivers. Just says, you drive, we'll sort the rest of it out.
But the cars are going well. The sister car that hasn't pitted this morning is up into 6th place overall. And don't forget, this was a car that was moved up a class. It was supposed to be starting in the bottom class, effectively the A2 for the least powerful cars, but clearly had the performance potential, was shifted up to A5 and is leading the way in that class, 6 overall. That's the sister car of 208. But of course, Vincent drives both of them, 208 and 205.
And they've already saved a stop, he says, which is remarkable in 3 hours.
I'm not sure about that, if I'm honest, but this will bring Simon Knapp back up to 2nd place, waiting to see when the 208 will stop with Gonzalo Martin de Andreas at the wheel. He has now done 3 hours, or the car has now done 3 hours and 27 minutes. I'm not sure that's true. That's just been reset from the first 3 hours. It's not showing as having had a pit stop. Oh, today. Of course. What did it have yesterday, Hindhoff? Come on, think about it. It had 1 stop yesterday.
Yeah, they both.
Yeah. But it had 1 stop and only spent 4 minutes and 37 seconds in the pits. So
light on its tyres then. That was
light on its tyres, yeah, and its fuel. That's very good. Very good indeed.
But of course, in that class, it should be consuming less fuel than the ones that started in A5 because just simply they're larger engine cars. So these two little 2.8 GTIs look very good indeed. Leading the way, still sitting on, it's now stretched to 2 laps. Kenneth Ayres completed 109 laps in the number 2 Mercedes. Peter Cox 107 laps in the 2nd place Ferrari. 33 is the car collection Martini liveried car. We had just had one of its drivers, the pro, if you will, Renger van der Zande, in the box, but it's just having a look at the view, showing a friend just how much we can see up here. But Markus Schultes, who Nick spoke to on the grid, the driver who said just couldn't wait to get started, the nerves are getting to him, is running 3rd overall in the number 33 Mercedes. Diederik Schithoff back in 4th place in the V8 Racing Corvette, and then now in 5th place overall is car number 88, which is the red GC automobile, the V8 6.2 litre Flyers, but they don't always last the races. They sound incredible. They look, well, frankly, slightly bizarre, I think one could say. There seems to be lots of sort of gaps where air is maybe supposed to pass through, but going very well indeed. But ironically, yesterday, the faster of the GC automobile cars was the 89 car, the white one that got a little bit bent, but that lost ground very early on and really isn't in the reckoning. So the red one, number 88, running 5th.
So we are 29 minutes in and it is still Hofer Racing 1:42.2. That's the kind of time that we are looking for from Kenneth Hare, with Peter Cox 46.8 last time around. That's going to lose him a couple of seconds or more. Has Peter cleared the traffic? Will he be able to keep that kind of pace up? Markus Schultes is a further 14 seconds back, 47.0 in 3rd position. Then the Corvette. But already Peter Cox showing, is Peter Cox 2 laps down?
Well, he was 1 lap down not long ago. I'm just waiting for it to be completed. He had that
yes,
stop.
He's 1 lap and a bit.
And a bit.
Yes,
he's
sorry.
sort of waiting for that moment when it changes back. But certainly it's gone all the way of Hofer Racing. But the sister car, Kenneth Hare leading the way in number 2, but the sister car, number 1, is with that 10-lap penalty plus the 14-lap deficit, down in 44th position, trying to pick. It's got a lot of picking off to do.
it's got a lot of cars in front of it that it's lapping 15 and 20 seconds quicker than.
Yeah,
but there's only
5 of them. Then there's about a 3-lap gap to the next grouping. So he'll get up to about 40th, and then he'll sit there for a very long time indeed.
It's got quite a way to go, though. In fairness, are we back on code 60 again?
No.
Just a gaggle of cars that are going the same pace, not seeming to overtake.
But John, one that's lost its pace today is the number 10 Lamborghini that went so well with Jeroen Mull, who put in a fantastic... We thought he was one of the stars yesterday, but now the Lamborghini is losing ground. Michael Goltz is down in 12th place overall. I'm just wondering, I think they've had quite a few laps of penalties. We were debating last night how much they'd get when they came in the final 10 minutes to refuel, and now he's listed as 103 laps completed, 7 laps down on the winner. Yes, we must have a code 60, John. Yes, we do.
I looked down.
You picked up the code. Not all of them had seen it immediately. You've got to check where the flags are hung.
I looked down to the start line, which didn't have it out.
Oil flag turn 12.
Okay, so that's
the second half of the chicane, so just behind the awning out of our sight.
I can see someone standing on the track there, actually, laying down the bright orange Creventic shirts with yellow flags waving, and there's a big trail of oil right through the first part of that chicane.
It's a very tight right, long left chicane, but we saw quite a few cars going straight on yesterday. I'm just wondering if maybe that's what happened to the Renault Megane Trophy.
Yeah.
Is that where it went on? I couldn't see any wheel tracks, but as Nick said, there was gravel on both sides of the car.
Now that's interesting, because that is right on the racing line there. And one of the advantages of Code 60 is that you can continue to score the laps. Now we've got an ambulance running through in front of us into the paddock. Let's see if that goes out onto the track.
Actually, I don't think it's an ambulance. I think it's a van. They have lots of people coming to wait. Oh, down there. I was looking out on the circuit. I think they're taking more people with cement brushes.
There's a transit van about to do the cut through on the circuit. Or will it go all the way around? It might have to be going further back up the track, I think. That's exactly what the issue is. So it is the Code 60 on the circuit at the moment.
And we are having pit visitors. I think
there's a Mercedes beneath you, an SLS serving a penalty. I think it's the number 3. The colours of the 3 and the 1 and the 2 are very similar. So
it's not listed as being in the pits, but maybe it has to go a slight bit further to be classed as being in the pits.
There for that long time because we're under code 60. The second Peugeot, whichever one it was, the 205 or 208, came in and went out. It was one that it's actually the number 2. So it was our leading car.
Race leader.
It was a race leader came in and served a penalty, which I assume was like a 10-second one extended because, of course, we were in the code 60 situations. The race leader's in. The Peugeot, came in again, had a slightly longer stop. Only changed front tyres, that Peugeot 208, and it then had to stop the engine to put some oil in it. And that went on its way. Apart from that, we've got a number of small causes. The Nissan came back in again. I think that's had a slight problem, and it's on its way again. So it does seem to be jeopardy about coming in through code 60, as the number 2 car has picked up some new tyres, and that's it going past me now. So it's on the penalty tyres, and is it fueling? The answer to that is
it will be.
Yes, it made a last-minute switch down past the NCP section of the middle of the pit lane and has dived into the fuel stop. Still need to get clarification about what they're doing regarding callers during code 60, whether they do have to come in and serve that penalty the following stop as they do in Dubai.
All of the regulations are exactly the same, Nick, so there's some slightly different regs with this being a split race, but effectively I've put my regs down somewhere now. I can't find them. I left them here last night, and that may have been the wrong thing to do. But yes, it's the same set of sporting regs for all of the Creventic events, and basically what happens is that they have slightly different ones for the events themselves. This one being the split is the issue, as the very different ones.
And just while John's having a quick flick through the regs, just to point out that puts Peter Cox back onto the lead lap with Maxi Buch. So number 2 Mercedes was still leading, we think, when he left the pits, but Peter Cox was 3.5 minutes down. Yeah, that should tally. We were finding a fueling stop was 3.5 minutes yesterday for a good one.
Don't forget, it's only the top 5 who can't pit stop during code 60. So if you're outside the top 5, you can pit stop without any issues.
So sadly for Maxi Buch, who is in number 2, he's just taking it over from Kenneth R. That was under code 60.
Right, and the time compensation is the pit stop time times the circuit constant.
Okay.
Okay, rounded up. Okay, so that it's basically, you know, it's 4.3 kilometers around. It's 60 kilometers, so that'll be 4.3 minutes. And so that's the time.
So they get a 4.3 minute penalty, or they get for every 4.3 minutes they get another 4. Because it's quite a long penalty. Because you think about this, this car's now getting fuel, so it's going to end up being in the pit lane, as you say, for perhaps 5 minutes or so. So does that mean it's going to get a 5-minute stop go next time it comes in?
Yes.
That's going to be major, 'cause that's 2 laps.
But that's what it always happens, Nick.
Yeah, no, I know. It's an interesting. I assume at this point, it's an interesting decision to do that. I think that might be an inexperience of the team within this particular regulation.
No, if you've got to come in, you've got to come in.
Well, I suppose they might have been very low. The question is, where were they on fuel?
Yellow flags in the pit lane for oil down.
Yeah, but I tell you what, that oil trailer, it goes the whole way up from before the chicane. That's why they needed so many extra marshals to go and shift it, and they're cleaning it as it comes out of the final corner. And yes, that trail of cement right the way into the pit lane now.
Do you know what car caused it?
No, afraid not.
Right, I'll take that back because there's a maximum time penalty of 150 seconds.
Right, so they got 2.5. And in comes the number... one of the Mercedes is coming in again for another stop-go.
Is it 33?
No, it's either 1 or 2.
It's not number 2, I think.
So either 1 or number 2 is sitting beneath you at the moment.
Okay, and the other one's just gone over the top of Hunsrück, very, very slowly indeed.
So my guess is that it'll be the 1 car. I think the 2
it is the 1.
Hasn't got round in time because it came that fuel. So the 1 now is serving a stop-go penalty for something, and is now that was perhaps a yellow flag infringement. And is now trundling down to pick up fuel as well. And if the maximum time penalty is 150 seconds, then suddenly it becomes a really good idea. Though he's just gone through and served his penalty.
Okay, Nick, here's one for you: the number 90 Renault Megane Trophy that was running 5th last night, leading the SP2 class back into the pits.
Yeah, and he stopped only a second ago after his gravel trip.
Yes.
He's now not having to serve a penalty. That's the first part of the news. He should have everything in the car, and they now seem to decide to do a driver change.
Well, he's no longer in the top 5, so
that's good. So they're doing a
he's
driver
in 7th
change
place.
now.
So Jörg Wiebahn is going to get out.
And that's interesting. Who is it?
Well, JJ Verhoeven did most of the racing in that yesterday. So who's the third driver? The third driver is Luke Brahms.
I think it might be Lizette actually in her other car. She's in 2 cars, isn't she, Lizette?
I didn't think she was in with Luke though.
No, she's not in with
the
Luke.
Husband and wife team.
Not together.
No.
Where did you find the sup regs, Bruce? Can you remember?
Which regs?
The supplementary regs for this event. Are these in here? Or
I think they're closer to the front.
Okay, thank you.
Have a dig. So Peter Cox now listed as leading the race for Praha Racing. So the lone Ferrari is in front and listed as being a lap clear of the number 2 Mercedes that has really been going away. And I think this is the first instance of one of the crew from number 1 moving into number 2, as Maximilian Buch, who did the pursuit of the number 2 Mercedes for the first 2 hours or so yesterday, is now into number... Sorry, what am I talking about? He was in number 1, pursuing number 2. He is now in number 2. So he's done a change from the team car that's dropped down to 44th position. He's now into the one in 2nd and closing on Peter Cox, perhaps.
So JJ Verhoeven did get into that car. You're absolutely right. And we now have the live put Lamborghini in front of me. Driver gets out, which was Grohl,
Michael Grohl.
Michael Grohl, sorry.
Right.
He's got a kind of a limp on him. I'm not sure whether they got I think they've now gone back in with the fast driver again with Jeroen Mol.
Stop talking. The top 5 code 60 is not applicable for this race. Sorry. So they can come in without penalty.
Okay. But I still think that the Lamborghini number 10 picked up a lot of penalties last night for coming in those final 10 minutes.
Oh no, that's different.
Yeah, I know that's different.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, yes.
This car has got damage it didn't have on the grid.
Do you think it could be their oil?
They're refilling oil now. No, on the side of the car, it's had a big impact on just behind the passenger side door. It's had some coming together in this particular session, the last hour. So they are topping it up with oil, but I don't think it's their oil that fell off.
Well, what we're having listed on the screen, the oil flag is turns 11, 12, 13 and 14. So they're the ones that we can see. The entrance to the chicane, and then through the Hans-Ernst-Boch through Kumo Bocht, which is the penultimate corner, then Arie Luijendijk Bocht, and the marshals are now pulling off the circuit. The flashing lights on one of the safety vehicles they're still flashing just before the pit entry, but an awful lot. There's still marshals on the track at the
I am
Kumo
rather
Bocht.
confused by what John said a second ago.
Yep.
Because if there's no penalty about coming under code 60, why the heck is everybody not coming in and fueling up?
Because you get stuck in the big queue.
Well, there's no big queue. There's 3 empty slots there.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but they don't all know that unless the team manager's telling them.
Article 31.9 of the Technical and Sport Regulations of Chapter 1 is not applicable. So, and that is what I just read out for this race. See, this is what happens when you try to do too much around the race, and I don't get time to sit down and read all the regulations. So basically, it says it's not applicable. Top 5 code 60 rule not applicable for this race. There you go. And if you're all seeing that on Twitter and that at the moment, I'm sorry, I can't say it.
Hang on, wait a second. Right, it's just me to wasn't the rule for the top 5 that they couldn't do anything apart from emergency splash and dash, and everyone else that came in under code 60 got the associated penalty? Is that not the rule in Dubai?
I just read it out, Nick.
No, I know. I don't know. I'm trying to remember.
While Nick has made John go back through the rule book, let me tell you what the gap is between. Well, it's a
right,
lap
here we go.
again. Oh, he's very quick on the rules.
Now that I know where it is, during code 60, the top 5 positions are not allowed to make a pit stop. That's it. That's 31.9, right? It's because one of the side effects of code 60 is the team can gain advantage by having their pit stop during that code 60. To avoid complex rules, the amendment focus is to decrease the influence of a code 60 in the top ranking of the final classification. So if a top 5 position team makes a pit stop during code 60 because they have run out of fuel or in the ready in the pit or whatever, the advantage will be compensated by this code 60 time penalty. Okay. However, that 31.9 rule 31.9 has been thrown out, so that none of that happens. So it's only for the top 5 teams.
So my question again is, why is everyone not coming in?
Well, maybe they don't need to.
But it's a free fuel stop.
Well, it's not a free fuel stop, but
rather than taking 2 laps, it'll take you half a lap.
Well, that is true.
That is true, and the Lamborghini has just rejoined. We've just had the number 7 GDL Racing with Gianluca De Lorenzi Mercedes coming in. You know, we had a couple of the SLS Mercedes hitting trouble yesterday, and number 7 was one of them. It dropped down to just about 35th place, and now where's he up to? He's up to 26th, 27th as he goes into the pit. So he's trying to make his way back, but you know, we will see them gaining, but it's a question of who's going to keep running well. And also, don't forget, Peter Cox leading this race by a lap. There's no way that his teammates are going to be able to match his sort of performance. A pair of Czech drivers, certainly the first one, Jiri Pisarik, got it slightly wrong in that opening stint yesterday and did some damage to the car, lost effectively 3 laps. But the most remarkable story really was the way yesterday, within the 3 hours, how Peter Cox managed to get that car right back up to the front end. He timed his stops to perfectly, absolutely perfectly, and also he was lapping faster than anybody else for a very long period of that race. 1, sometimes 2, 3, even 3 seconds a lap faster than the other front runners. But he knows obviously he's then going to have to hand over. Why is it when you look down and then look up you see a truck towing a car and you've just missed which it was, going over Hunsrück? So someone must have stopped. Maybe that was the car that was leaving the oil. So a red car, is it number 88? No, that's still lapping. So okay, sorry, a mystery has gone past. Okay, I'll just give you the top. I'm sure there'll be many more in the hours to come. 9 is leading, that's Peter Cox in the Praha Racing Ferrari. 2, Maxi Buch has just taken over the sister car, if you will, from the one he started yesterday, the Hofer Racing number 2 Mercedes. Now, Mirko Schultes in the faster of the car collection Mercedes SLS's, number 33, is on the same lap as Buch. Well, that's a real improvement for them. He is 3rd overall. The V8 Racing Corvette is number 5, is also on that same lap, on 109 laps completed, in 4th place overall. And the GC Automobiles, the red entry, number 88, still holding down 5th place.
Yeah, it's going to take a wee while to do this, an awful lot of work to be done, but it looks like the marshals have responded very, very quickly.
Well, they're off the track now. That's one of the Mark Focus V8s coming into the pits. Very, very interesting cars up from Australia. You saw them earlier this year down at the Bathurst 12, that amazing event you're now enjoying so much each spring.
The Liquimolly 12 hours. In comes the 91. That's the one with the blue on it, which keeps catching me out because I'm not used to seeing it in that colourway. And that's come down and stopped in the penalty box as well.
That's the one with Papua New Guinea. I don't know why I've never struggled on that before. Their only racing driver that we know of.
He has licence number 001, does he?
So it seems, but so in his honour, it's probably the first time the PNG flag has been waving.
Right next to us
it
as
is as a constant reminder. And he's sharing that car with James Kay, the British driver, and Danish driver Kilm Holmgaard. And the Danes, they do just love it. You can't blame it all on Tom Christensen. It started long before, but they just can't get enough of their endurance racing, can they?
It's interesting, isn't it, how some cultures value the endurance side of things more than others. So we get another ambulance on the internal road heading towards the back of the paddock. So we can't give you any more details. I might just be repositioning.
I think it's just repositioning.
Having said that, there's a few people sort of sitting there looking down on something as if something is happening.
Well, you know, it's...
Let's hope there's nobody...
Let's hope there's nobody, but the team it's closest to is the Mission Possible. I saw Grensport. That's the team with the 4 paraplegic drivers racing. I hope nothing's happened to any of those. But also the paddock is so tight here at Zandvoort, that's probably as close as it can get to any of the teams.
Nick and I have been to RC racing events where the paddock is actually no smaller than what we have here. You can only have, the trucks behind the paddock boxes, the pit boxes. There's no room for anything else. No. Everybody else is in outside car parking.
And that's why Parc Fermé was in the next county.
Yeah.
500 metres away, and more probably. So just looking to see, we think all the marshals off the track after that oil spillage and the clear up from through turns 11, 12, 13 and 14. Good news, the Risi Racing BMW, actually the timing of it's shunt and everything, and it's going, not refueling, it's going back out. It could have lost a whole lot more laps than it did.
They've not bothered with the cosmetics. They've just fixed the lower wishbone and sent it with a huge gaping hole in the front right of it.
Well, they were 24th overall overnight, leading the D1 class. They were 3 laps clear. Yes, they've lost laps this morning, but it could have been at least half a dozen more laps if we hadn't had these 2 Code 60s. So Peter Cox, still we're just waiting for the release. It's just trying to see if there are any other more course vehicles around the circuit. I can't see them now. I really feel it will be any moment now. Hopefully all those marshals posts in uniformity will withdraw the Code 60 flags, hang out the green, and we can go racing again. Peter Cox leading the way in the one and only Ferrari in this race for Praha Racing, sharing with a pair of Czech drivers, the team Prague, of course. It will be the term of Jaromír Jirik shortly, and they race a lot of old DTM cars at Brno, and they really do like the big powerful cars, and certainly we're seeing an increasing number of Czech drivers coming into endurance racing now, and I don't think you can get a better coach at most circuits, but certainly here at Zandvoort than Peter Cox.
Yes, and he's just loving it here.
Just to put Bruce's mind at rest, the Mission Possible car has just gone past me, absolutely pristine.
Good. Well, in fact, the lights don't seem to be on the ambulance now. I think it was just going back to its paddock parking place. Just trying to look at the signs if we've got any non-runners. 38 probably in the garage. That's that white.
Yes, it is.
BMW 120D. They. When I asked someone this morning, he said that it's the wheels. I think it's the bit the wheels were attached to, really. But that was the one that lost its rear wing last night, wasn't it? It came in, was it once or twice? The wing, and they just wrenched the wing off and sent them out.
Yeah, I think they meant hubs when they were talking.
Yes, exactly, or suspension.
Uprights,
yeah.
Well, a bit of a hiatus then in our coverage, or at least not in the coverage, but in the action that we are looking at the moment. The cars cruising around. This is when you and I should be driving, Nick. We could do this Code 60 thing.
Do you know what? I reckon I can drive at 60 kilometres as well, even as Peter Cox can.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I've driven with both of you. I'm not so sure.
Are the ambulances just driving round and round now?
I've seen that one twice.
There's 64 ambulances now in the
Perhaps Jerry's done some sort of incentive for local ambulance drivers to get a couple of laps of the track.
Yeah. Well, you know what? While we're standing here focused on what's happening, what may be about to happen, the good thing is the weather conditions are perfect. Gradually, more and more spectators are starting to come. It's a lot of racing, And endurance racing at Zandvoort, because of the curfew at 7 o'clock every night, is clearly something they've been in very, very short supply. And I know a lot of the people who work here at the circuit on a regular basis are so excited to have some endurance racing coming back. And bearing in mind what Creventic is doing around the world with making enduros, it's only fair and right they have an event here at their home circuit.
So obviously there's a large, I'm just going to throw to you because you might know the answer to this, or you can find out. I'll give you a task. A large amount of oil has gone down, which normally means the car's had a major problem, but we don't know what car it is. Is that correct?
We could only guess because we saw a car come back in on a flatbed, but this is an extent. There's still someone on the track out by the chicane picking up a piece of debris there, now running back to the marshal's post. I mean, you're talking about how people are excited about this event. We know that the second edition of the Hankook 12 Hours of Zandvoort will be here on the 15th to 16th of May next year. Already announced, date booked. I mean, what better way to advertise to your potential audience than to tell them when they can come back next year? And I've just noticed something as well. On the spectator stand there, at the opposite the pit, there is an updating board with the lap numbers and the positions on.
The sort of thing that started drifting away from circuits about 30 years ago. Indianapolis, of course, has that famous scoring board, but just touches like that.
It's top 10. And that's facing the pits, in fairness, but I think I did see one facing the other way as well.
I'm sure there is, and look at all the people now starting to come on those wonderful dunes looking down at the entrance to Tarzan.
I did tweet a picture yesterday of, in fact, the guys are just setting that board up now, but it is working. I did tweet a picture yesterday of our credential, which we were blipped in with this morning, and they read the barcode, which has paddock, pits, and dunes as access.
Yes, how many circuits would that work at? Bridgehampton? Now we're starting to struggle.
Yeah.
It's quite
Pembrey, if it's a windy day.
It's quite sandy at Dubai sometimes.
Yeah, but it's not dunes, though, is it?
They're just outside the circuit, actually, past the kart track.
Yeah. Not the same sort of...
no, because they shift, where these are quite more permanent.
Well, you'd hope. Good morning to Paul Dunk, listening to us in the Middle East. And Denmark is definitely saying that endurance racing is their number one. John Nielsen, Magnussen, Christensen, all heroes, of course. We were mentioning that earlier on. Scandinavian actually is pretty much a hotbed of endurance racing, isn't it? You know, over the years, John Nielsen, one of my real early heroes in sports car racing, and met him. Been privileged enough to sit next to him in a couple of do's. Actually, always wore red and white. I got into it because he wore a red and white striped racing helmet, and that was my football
that was good
colours,
enough for you.
Yeah.
Top man.
Drove do you remember the West McLaren back in '96?
Yeah.
And we had the Newcastle United Lister Storm that year, the Adidas sponsored car. And so to offset that, of course, we had to have the Sunderland McLaren, which was the red and white car with Nielsen in that car with a red and white striped helmet, which worked rather well for me as a Sunderland supporter.
John, we've been talking about, we now have Code 60 is due to a medical emergency.
Yeah, we've got these three ambulances in the back of the circuit, and I'm guessing why they're doing this is in case they need to exit the circuit quickly.
Well, also because access to the inner paddock at Zandvoort is incredibly restricted. It's almost like one way in and almost no way out.
Oh yes, so you wouldn't be able to have ambulances driving slowly with cars coming at racing speeds. That's really smart.
So the oil has now all been cement dusted and cleared up, and we're hopefully this medical emergency is nothing too serious and can be cleared up. And we still have all the cars running as far as I can see. No, we've lost the Saxon Motorsport, the 5-litre BMW 1 Series, and we've got the number 44 Zest Race Engineering going for more TLC in its garage.
That car had a large amount of fluid on the pit box floor earlier. Beneath it, you can't see this, but the number 7 Mercedes SLS is serving a penalty. He was so keen to serve his penalty, he got there and stopped the box before the team member got anywhere near to start the stopwatch.
But here's the boss, though, Gianluca De Laurenti, unless he's handed the car over this morning. It's still Gianluca at the wheel of the number 7 Mercedes, but it's down in 31st position. That will certainly rise up the order. After the cut and thrust of racing yesterday, it has a very different feel this morning, but we still have just over 8 hours in which to get back to some real scrapping at the front. Peter Cox still leading the way in the Praha Racing Ferrari by a lap ahead of Maxi Buch, who's now taken over the number 2 Hofer Racing Mercedes SLS AMG. Mirko Schultes in number 33, a sister car if you will, but from a different team, another Mercedes run by the Car Collection Motorsport team. And then the V8 Racing Diederik Sithoff, who started the race I believe yesterday in the V8 Racing Corvette, running in 4th. That was a car that went backwards into the barriers under our feet in the commentary box yesterday very early in qualifying when it was the pace setter. Started in 4th place on the grid, wasn't too bad and was really running well, but doesn't seem to have the pace today, the ultimate pace that certainly Peter Cox can manage in the Ferrari, or the best of the Hofer Racing Mercedes can achieve. With Maxi Buch, who is the hottest of their hot shoes, seems to race an SLS AMG Mercedes every weekend, pretty much from March to October. He is the driver who will be chasing off after Dutch driver Peter Cox to see if he can put Mercedes back ahead of Ferrari here at the Zandvoort 12 Hours. So very quiet down in the pits, Nick. It seems.
Yeah, there's, you know, I would happily fill in the voids of this quiet, gentle area. Oh, someone's come in. That's good news. It's a white BMW that doesn't narrow it down much. He'll go past me and say it's number 38 back in again. So 38.
Well, at least that means he went out, I suppose.
Yes.
Because he's been into the garage more. That's the one that's had the hub or whatever problems.
Yeah, he's in 51st, and as the 52nd car's gone home, he is actually the last of the people who are still here. And he goes straight back in the garage again. There's a few BMWs have been visiting the garage, and there are a great number of BMWs to visit the garages.
Yes, when I spoke to the driver, Raymond Leonard Vos, this morning of number 38, he had that sort of air of, well, we'll just see what happens, you know.
Yeah, it's not gone well so far, but who knows? It could all change today. It'll be fine. I think that car obviously is battling with the 44 for most problems. So the 44 had spilled all its power steering fluid on the floor at one point. I'm not overly sure, I'll be honest with you, about the wiseness, the wisdom,
sagacity, sagacity,
the wisdom, all the
yes, that's a maximum this morning. Triple word score.
I do doubt the wisdom of running a Seat Cupra car in an endurance event. It never seems to end well.
You're just a cynic, Nick. I'm an
optimist.
No,
I like the cars. I think they're good-looking cars, and it was a great championship in the sport race, and he gave us Rob Huff and people like that. But I just think that leap from the half-hour bash and crasherman into the let's run for 12 or 24 hours doesn't seem to be as smooth as, for example, the Renault Clio's managed to make it, or some of the BMWs. And that's just an observation.
It was interesting talking with the guys this morning with Jakob Christensen about their Renault Clio Sport. That was a Clio Cup car, but they've done a little bit of jiggery-pokery on it and just changed the engine mapping a little bit. He said they won in Dubai. If you remember, they won their class in Dubai. I said we won on reliability there. We realised we didn't have quite the speed, but you don't want to. You know, it's that very careful balance, isn't it, between getting the speed right and getting not affecting the reliability of the cars. And they've just done a little bit more engine mapping, given themselves a little bit more speed. They've looked at the car itself and just done a little bit of tweaking. So there's a little, you know, it's come out of a single manufacturer series where adjustments are fairly finite, so they've given themselves a little bit of wiggle room, if you like, Nick.
Just had word from the paddock. The reason we've got this medical emergency is one of the organisers of the support race series has had a heart attack, and very, very bad news.
Good news is that we've got the medics on hand.
Straight away, they were very quickly onto the scene, so fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And as we said, the point of this is that because the access into the paddock is so tight and so close to the racetrack, you can't have people driving backwards and forwards whilst the cars are on the circuit at speed. So,
but for some of the teams, as Nick has acknowledged, these Code 60s are allowing them to do the work they would have liked to have done last night, but the cars were stuck away in Parc Ferme. And it's certainly this 3 hours on the Friday followed by 9 on the Saturday, that's 9 hours today, really does give a whole different scope of tactics. But having your car stuck away if you've got a minor problem, and that will niggle away at your mind overnight, and it'll become not a small problem, it will become the end of the world. before you can get the cars back in. For a lot of these teams, they're just choosing the first moment at which they can sort those little problems out and put their minds at ease.
Coroiser 102, Lotus Evorder is just getting a standard service by the looks of it. That obviously spent a lot of time in the pits yesterday, but today it's still looks pretty pristine actually. Got a little bit of scuff on the rear left, but apart from that the car looks pretty nice. So that's having a better day so far.
See if you can grab some people to talk to, Nick. Oh, we've got a helicopter coming in.
Okay,
that's why.
I wondered.
Yeah.
Because they'll probably land it next to the main grandstand because there's not a big enough area here in the paddock.
Yeah, that's exactly what.
That's why they've kept it clear. And in fact, an ambulance is going around then. Or is that the police van? That's the
police van. That's the transporter. We've got a Eurocopter coming in from the
sea.
From the sea, and a nice bit of flying.
And you can see where other ones have been before. You can see where the rotor blades have spun.
Yeah.
Not the blades on the ground, but you can see where it's disturbed the parking area.
This is a nice bit of organisation actually to get this done. The bright yellow emergency helicopter coming in and putting down.
Immediately the other side of the tunnel. I thought he was going to land just over here, but
I think there's an area.
Oh, there is in fact. There is a square, a tarmac
yeah,
square. I can see it now. The other
there
side
is
of the
a
cafe.
heliport just beyond the red roof of the building, so and that is down.
Just the other side of the tunnel.
The police van is over there at the moment, and we're just a wait to see what's going to happen with the situation down here in the paddock. So. Just after 11 o'clock here this morning, you're listening to RadioLeMans.com. We're under full code 60 here around the 4.3 kilometre. We've got a little medical emergency in the paddock that's being dealt with. We'll be back to racing in just a moment. We'll just take a short break and just take a quick breath, but you're missing none of the racing here at Zandvoort. So if you are just joining us this morning, it is Peter Cox who now leads the motor race. Some big changes this morning with the cars reordered on the grids, fastest cars at the front, and then the finishing order last night. If you were on the lead lap, you stayed on the lead lap, and everyone else ordered in behind that. So it's not an aggregate race as such, but we did split the cars up. For example, we had some of the classes, the SP classes, right in amongst the A6, the GT3 cars, and what happened there was they were moved further back down the grid. So Peter Cox leads now in the number 9 Ferrari from Maxi Burke, who's now aboard what has been a dominant performance, even given that they're in second place at the moment, by Hofer Racing in the number 2. That car, that red, white and black Mercedes-Benz, just goes round through the hairpin in front of me. And Mirko Schultz now is aboard the Car Collection Motorsport number 33 Mercedes in third position, with Diedrich Schiethoff at the wheel of the Corvette, the V8 Racing Corvette, in fourth position. Let's head down the pit lane. Nick Damon, what you got for us?
I've got a couple of things. First of all, the Corvette is going to be coming in soon because they've laid tyres out.
Right.
And as you know, he said in the pits, on the grid, he was eating tyres.
Yeah.
Not him personally, the car. There's also I'm with the erstwhile previous leader of the 120 the D1 class, the 122 the 72 car. That's back in again. I just want to grab a quick word with Johan van Loo, who was just got out of the car. Second, yeah. The car obviously had a bit of a problem. Johan, overnight this car was leading, but now it's had a number of problems. What are the issues and what caused them?
Well, we had this morning while doing a restart, we had a little a collision with another car. And then they damaged the steering bar, and therefore we're just seeing whether we can fix it or what we can do about it.
So you don't have a spare? You're going to try and weld it?
Yeah, we're going to see whether we can do it.
That sounds. So the car basically, because you did a small repair and sent it out and did 3 or 4 laps. But did you then find that something else was broken?
Yeah, we wanted to find out whether we could manage to get the steering, whether that was okay, and that was good. But the brake was too hard, so it broke down completely. So I came back in.
Thanks, Aaron. Yeah, so, but what happens was they broke the steering rod, and what they've lost now actually is the lower wishbone locator for the front end of this 120. They've had what was a hairline fracture cracked under the pressure of running round, and they're now going to go and try and find a welder somewhere.
Okay.
And that was the Air Jacks number 5.
That's the essence of endurance racing. I think back to the 360 race at Donington last year with Tango 67, welding of a throttle pedal in our case it was. Which, if anybody mentions me being so heavy-footed, I'll can't deny it now.
Go faster! Push!
I'm pushing as hard as I. Which pedal is? I really would like that actually. If when someone in Formula 1 goes, okay, come on, pick the pace up now, enter name of driver here. If the driver went, oh, how do I do that? Which one of the pedals makes it go quicker? Which button do I press to make it go faster than I'm already going?
Yeah, which program? Which do I scroll to?
Yeah, which setting? On the it's button number 4, is it? Excellent.
Subscreen 3, button 4.
They just go, you do realise that everyone is theoretically faster than you.
Yes. So no sign of this code 60 coming to an end. We've got a motorcycle with a paramedic, no, that's a police bike actually, and 3 ambulances and a VW transporter all down in the pit lane. The medical helicopter has landed on the other side of the circuit. And it actually has had some impact to the teams, this, and we wish whoever it is who's not very well the very best. But I've noticed 1 or 2 of the teams who would normally have been towing their tyre trucks along the roadway have had to actually just bring them up by hand. They haven't been able to use their quads to pull them through here. And that is because the access road to the paddock. If you know Zandvoort, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't, it might be difficult to visualise. But the outer paddock, you come under the main straight just as it comes out of the final corner from the outside of the circuit into the infield area. But the layout of Zandvoort, and if you have a look at the circuit map, you will see that the Hugenholzbocht is very, very close to the main straight and the back of the paddock, and just north of that pinch point is actually the back of the paddock. And what we have here is beyond the edge of the circuit, drivers right into Hugenholz, this long uphill left-hander, is a set of concrete blocks like you would see at a street circuit at, I don't know, Long Beach or somewhere like that, with catch fencing on the top of it. Behind that is barely a 2-lane carriageway. Then there's a little footpath area that is barriered off. And then effectively it's the pit lane and the main straight. So there is barely 3 lanes of traffic between one side of the circuit and the other. But crucially, there is no dead zone between the edge of the track and any kind of viewing area. So if anybody came in hard and moved the barriers, it would impact on that area, literally as well as metaphorically. And that's why you tend to have that closed off when we're racing. And that's why at the moment, in case they need access for medical personnel, they're keeping the cars running slowly, Bruce.
Yeah, I mean, the distance, the gap is so small that a decent triple jumper could clear it, with the exception of the catch fencing on top, obviously. But what it's now done in that scramble is that Peter Cox... Nick, has Peter Cox just pitted, or is he under us for a penalty? Because he's no longer leading this race in the number 9 Ferrari.
Don't know. I haven't seen him pitting.
Has he been in already?
The 30th, he was in it before, but not the last couple of laps, my knowledge. No, I can see the car go down the straight now. He's just gone round Tarzan at the moment. The 33's come in.
Because he's listed in 3rd place behind the number 2 Mercedes.
Yes, but his stint time is 54 minutes.
No, but he's been in since the start.
No, because... well, no, he's already made 1 pit stop today. He was in at the start, came in for a pit stop, no driver change, refueled.
Correct.
Moved into the lead of the race when the number 2 Mercedes came in for its time.
Well, I am very confused now. Mirko Schultz's, the 33 car, has come into the pits.
He has, and he's changed. He's out and
going for fuel.
Another driver got in. I didn't see which one it was. I was watching a couple of BMWs, obviously serving a penalty.
Did they do that on purpose when you walk up to them, Nick?
Yeah.
With an open microphone, they whiz the egg.
Hello! How are you? It's the universal welcoming barrier for any sort of pit lane reporter.
It's a warning, Nick, but we've never understood it.
Yes, go away. You're next.
Oh, that's your final warning, Nick.
Yeah. That was more like a slightly aggressive Jack Russell, wasn't it? He's barked at me once. I've rung the bell again, so I get 3 barks. Now, I'm a bit confused. So how is Peter Cox in up third then?
Well, we don't know. Last I looked at the screen a few minutes ago and he was leading. He doesn't appear to have come back into the pits. He's been moved back. It's like he's been given a 1-lap penalty for something, but I can see no notification of that on the sort of marshal's post on the start-finish line. Might be worth wandering down to the garage. In fact, you're pretty much there, aren't you, Nick?
Yeah, I'm kind of meandering around now, wondering what's going on.
It's probably empty. Or you could do what I did earlier. You could ask someone in what you think is the right colour shirt to find it's another team sharing that particular garage. He then points to his badge. Oh. So just to let you know, class leaders, let's go through those. Maxi Book leading the A6 class and leading the race for Hofer Racing in the number 2 Mercedes SLS AMG. 5th overall leading the SP2 class is Frank Leone Provost in the red GC Automobiles entry. Next up is Simon Knapp in A5, 8th overall. The MDM Motorsport BMW, that's been going very well indeed. Christian Dick going very well in the SP3 class, not going well, he's leading it, 13th overall. A2 class, they're the small engine cars at the back. Jan Engelbrecht, that's the 106, which is the Team K Reiser Renault Clio down from Denmark. A3T class, Hank Hanna, that's number 42, which is the Baz Curtin Racing Seat Leon Supercopa. D1, which was led overnight by 72, the Risi Racing, is now led by 71, which is the VW Golf GTI, entered by TTC Racing, another success for the Danes. So overall leader and leading the race and the A6 class is Maxi Book, but those are all the other class leaders down through the field, running all the way down to, which was the lowest place class leader, 31st position was the TTC Racing Golf, Daniel Schilliger at the wheel.
So no sign of this code 60 going away anytime soon, as a BMW K1600 GT in police colours pulls up in the pit lane. I lie, it's an RT12, excuse me. Should be able to tell the differences. I've owned both of those, but it has now pulled up the bright fluorescent yellow helmet that the Netherlands police favour, in that very distinctive blue, orange and white decal package. Yeah, that's definitely a RT12, one of the older air-cooled models. And I'm presuming he's going to provide escort for the ambulance because he's not getting off his motorcycle. Talking to one of the paramedics behind us there. So this has been quite a long delay in the racing, but frankly nothing that the organisers could have done. We can't add time on the end of this, so it was this or just red flag it really and bring everybody into the pit lane.
Yeah, but this is still providing interest. A lot of the teams are still sorting their cars. They couldn't touch them overnight, and I'm actually, the more I see the Code 60 work at Dubai and over the past few years, and here I still think Code 60 works very well indeed. One problem they've always had at Zandvoort is, particularly on a sunny weekend day, is everyone heads out here to the coast and there aren't that many big roads, and if they...
good point.
I've just been speaking to one of the local commentators, and he suggests that if they could get the person who's had this heart attack to hospital, he could go to Haarlem, or it could be to Amsterdam, but they're going to have to clear some of the roads, because as you've seen coming in, John, the circuit, the approach roads are very narrow indeed, and on a weekend it's going to be quite difficult if they don't use the helicopter to get this unfortunate series organizer of one of the support races to hospital. But they're doing everything they can, but we've talked through the strictures, and they very much are strictures here at Zandvoort when something happens in the inner paddock just behind the pits. 1 minute to green flag, as message had just come up on the screen.
Very good news.
So that goes to prove just why Code 60 is good, because otherwise we'd have had a red flag, we'd have lost all the momentum.
Correct.
And then we'd have a restart with everybody bunched on the grid. As it is, they're circulating, and the Code 60 flags will be withdrawn at the same time.
Correct.
All around the circuit, and of course, let's hope everyone remembers driving at 60 makes your tyres go cold. We're racing again. The green flags, as I speak, are just being waved, and you can hear the engines firing up to full volume one more time.
And in fact, it comes up onto the onto the timing screens to remind the teams, to remind their drivers, please beware, cold tyres. Really smart thing by Ronald and the guys at timingservices.nl, who provide such a brilliant services. Another small but enthusiastic group, just like Creventic, who go about their business in a very, very professional way. And of all the timing people we work with, and we work with some very good ones. I think of Alcamel, particularly with the WEC in Le Mans. Well, timeservices.nl definitely right up there among the best, and you will be, if you've got the internet back at home listening to us, you'll be enjoying and seeing the fruits of their considerable labours.
What we can see now is, as the field has been released, and just looking for Peter Cox to come round, is the amount of cement dust that's being kicked up. This is the first time they've driven over it in full anger. Now we wanted to see what the gap was between race leader Maxi Buch in the number 2 Mercedes and Peter Cox, who fell, we don't know how, from first down to third. Cox in the number 9 Ferrari is now back up into second, and he's 48.5 seconds down on Maxi Buch. Let's see what happens, and we've got to work out Cox's stint is listed as an hour and 1 minute since he pitted, and it's 40 minutes since Maxi Buch took over the number 2 Mercedes. So I think with fairly simple maths, we know that Cox will be coming in earlier for his next refueling stop. Third place on the track at the moment, Alex van 't Hoff has just taken over the Corvette, the V8 Racing Corvette, the yellow and black one, and Peter Schmidt is now driving the Martini liveried car collection Mercedes in 5th place, who's just moved ahead of the SB2 class leader, which is Frank Leon Prevost in the red GT Automobiles car. Not so far, 25 seconds behind him though, after 2 pit stops today. And the driver change to Jan Joris Verheuvel is that very, very impressive Renault Megane Trophy number 90, running 6th, but I think 7th, but I think we'll be closing in on 6th place very, very soon indeed.
Both the, as you mentioned, both the 88 and the 89 GC Automotive cars have come in and served stop-and-go penalties beneath you. Okay. The white car, which I think was the 89, then got fuel. The red car, the 88, just went straight back out again. Also, the 17 996 Porsche, that has had a stop-go and a complete service as well.
Thanks very much, Nick. 997, in fact. The 996 Porsche is the number 21, the silver one, and the white and green one, the Speed Lover one.
They're all souped-up Volkswagens.
I didn't know that because I wrote it down this morning.
I'm going to treat that remark with the contempt with which it deserves.
I just threw the hook out and on you.
No, not saying anything.
It's a Benz. It's the Audi R8.
It's the 104.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the Jordan's Netherlands car.
Yeah, red camel. So who was at the wheel of that 104? Just having a look. Just to let you know, Ivo Breukers, our good mate Ivo Breukers, just pulled off on the inside of the circuit at Tarzan, just really at pit exit.
I wonder if that's as a function of driving round slowly. The car perhaps has just overheated a bit. Let me just shut that door, it's getting a bit loud.
Right, the gap was 48 seconds between Maxi Buch and Peter Cox for the lead of this race. It's come down to just under 46 seconds, so Cox again has shown his value in slashing away at the lead of the race, 1 minute 44. But don't forget, yesterday he gained about 2 and a bit laps through clever timing of pit stops and fueling stops, but in no small part to just being able to put the hammer down. And he did say that car, he felt it was underpowered, but in fact it was the extra downforce provided by one of his teammates, rather reshaping the bodywork of the lone Ferrari in this race.
And as we thought might happen, the ambulance has been given a police escort out of the circuit. We wish all involved well with that, and the authorities here acting very, very quickly and professionally indeed in getting help to that medical emergency in the pit lane.
I just had a little contact right beneath us where it happened yesterday. Number 57, it seems, which is the Synchro Motorsport Honda Civic, just had a little rub with its front end on the 33 Mercedes, which is Peter Schmidt driving that for the Car Collection Motorsport team in 4th place. No real serious damage, but it might be one of those niggling ones, Johns, when your bodywork is... Bear in mind, the bodywork of 57 had to be completely resorted overnight. They took the 10-lap penalty, which has put them way, way down the order. Alan James driving that at the moment, but we saw when Martin Byford was driving that car, it really does have great pace, but he's got a lot of ground to make up. 57 is down in 44th place, just behind number 1, as it happens, the car that led the race early on, one of the two Hofer Racing Mercedes SLSs, but that had the 10-lap penalty for the gearbox change. It had ABS problems and all sorts of other things yesterday evening.
It is. I mean, it's a function of getting back to racing that everybody's together. The Americans say yellows breed yellows, cautions breed cautions, and even coming off Code 60, you know, people are they're just switched off a little bit, and that's the difference between the pros and not the pros. Down the front straight, we've got one of the Hofer cars going, it must be the one car, going down the inside of the number 5 Corvette, but doesn't quite make it into Tarzan. We had 3 wide there as they went past us, and it's not wide enough, really, for 3 big sports cars, very large sports cars and very wide sports cars. It's not, it's the number 2 car. It's Maxi Burke coming round to put a lap on Alex van der Hoef and push him a lap further back. So this is a real scramble, and Alex van der Hoef in the V8 Racing Corvette, the bright yellow, velocity yellow car, is desperately trying to stay out of the clutches of Maxi Burke and try at least and stay on the end of the lead lap.
Well, what I love there, just looking at that little scenario, John, is when you see the drivers, they go through the tight right at Gerlachbach, they carry what speed they can and they have to decelerate to go through Hugenholzbach. But when you see the sheer power that cars like the SLS and the V8 Racing Corvette release as they manage to get the car straight and then put the power down as they go over the rise at Hunsrück and then through that wonderful serpentine passage up to Schevlach, and then they drop out of our sight, but I'm sure they don't stop having fun.
No, I'd absolutely agree with that.
And one of the things the drivers, first-timers here, have all loved is the flow of this circuit. And you think of Holland, the Netherlands, you think of flat, 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 but there is quite a lot of gradient on this circuit. We have bank corners and the rise over Hunsrück and then the dip into Rob Slottermacherbach, then up again. It is a wonderful stretch of tarmac. And the number 104 Audi R8 has now been towed through Hugenholzbach, taken away from where it stopped just at the entrance to Tarzan, and is now being recovered to be brought back to the pit. So the drivers of the course rescue vehicles are very, very busy here, but of course with Creventic we always try and get the cars back to the pits to live to fight another day.
Yeah, positively encouraged here in this series.
I know the traffic is quite thick when you have a restart, but number 2 is picking his way through the orders, and that's Maxi Burke. He's passed us again at the Hugenholzbach. Gosh, he really must have gained about 2 to 3 seconds on that lap on the V8 Racing Corvette that he passed. And Peter Cox not lapping so fast in second place, though. He took 3 seconds off, but the traffic, I think, is the main offender here in these early laps since we lost Code 60 and went back green flag.
And that leaves only Maxi Burke and Peter Cox on the lead lap of the motor race as we are at 22 minutes past 11 Central European time with still 7 hours and 37 pretty much the race to go here. We started a little before the 10 o'clock start time just so that we can get the checkered flag out before the curfew at 7 o'clock tonight. Damon down in the pit lane. Bit chilly at the day, Nick, and you're in the shadow at the moment, so what's it like down there in the pits?
It's if you're in the shadow a bit, it's chilly. If you're in the sun, it's very pleasant. There is and so hence the reason I'm currently on the pit wall doing my lizard impression and warming up again before some action.
Put that tongue away.
Exactly, some action in the dark areas. Quick thing, when you saw Maxi Burke back out of that attempt to get past the Corvette going to Tarzan, that's because of the wave yellow.
Ah, yes, good point.
We know that a number of cars have fallen foul of overtaking under yellows and got a 20-second penalty, which seems to be longer during the Code 60. So
very good point.
Under the, I think that's the Kuma. The VTEC Honda beneath the car, which Ricky Kuma did 2 hours and 25 minutes in yesterday, would have done more. He had been punted by a Lamborghini.
The Lamborghini.
So that comes in for its, I think, probably its second stop of
yes.
the whole event.
Remarkable. Absolutely remarkable.
I'm just trying to see where Peter Cox is on the track because he is running slower laps. I'm trying to see if he's caught up in traffic, but he should be lapping in the 145s.
And here's a stricken car on the end of a tow rope, and this is the R8 Audi.
Coming back into the pit lane there, being pulled in, as we said, many, many laps done by the drivers of the Navara rescue vehicles. And that's back into the pit lane.
The Nissans have had a lot of work this weekend, and they've done sterling work. I know that our team down at Le Mans are down there courtesy of the Nissan NV400 diesel, which Bob Dawson and Joe Bradley drove down. Give them a wave if you see them coming back on Monday. and we'll be crossing over to Le Mans later on today and joining up with the team there as they get ready for our exclusive independent coverage of Test Day tomorrow on 91.2 FM, Mobile One Radio Le Mans.
One bit of good news, I was worried about the pace of Peter Cox. Was there a car problem? Was it just traffic? Well, he's just put in a 1 minute 43 second lap, so it was traffic.
It was traffic.
But he's lost about 5 seconds over the past couple of laps, the race leader. So 51 seconds now he is effectively behind the race leading number 2 Mercedes of Maxi Buch, who is running in clear air at the moment.
The Las Moras Racing's team, Jan Joris Verheul back at the wheel of that Megane. 46.5 for that car, and that is why it was right up there yesterday. It's some 5 laps off the lead, but is as quick, in fact quicker, than some of the GT3, the A6 cars around it. I mean, that is a very, very good run from that car.
Yeah, no, was really, really impressed with JJ yesterday, and Donald Molinar also he didn't do a good stint in that car because he's not driving it. Sorry, it was JJ Verheul.
Yeah.
So
the GC Automotive car, the 10, the V8 6.2 litre car, which has got Frank-Leone Provost at the wheel, is 7 seconds behind and dropping away. And with lap times like a 46.5, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and not so long ago he was half as... Which Mercedes was that, 1 or 2?
I think it must be the one. It must be the one. It is Christian Frankenhood brings the 41st position now and still 8th in class. Mercedes-Benz of Hofer Racing into the pit lane for what looks, Nick Damon, like a regular stop. They're going to work on the left-hand side of that car with tyres.
Yeah, they're going to complete driver and tyre change on the one. It's now running much like the clockwork it ran for the first hour or so yesterday before it all went terribly wrong. And they dropped down the field, plummeted down the field through problems, and then obviously lost 10 more laps. Christian is helping the new driver get in, and they're already off the jacks for the tyres that have been done, and they're still just strapping in the driver.
And obviously you have the gull wing doors on the SLS AMG Mercedes, and one from the other team, but one of the car collection motorsport cars, number 33 with Renger van der Zande, went around for about a lap and a half when the door sprung open yesterday, so I guess they'll all be...
The odd thing is that actually you would think with the gull wing door that it would be easier to get in the car, but the way the particular safety cage is built up to make up for, I suppose, the sort of weakness of that gull wing arrangement, it actually seems to be one of the most awkward cars to get in and out of, even for a relatively live racing driver. You know, given the fact that I couldn't get into a GT1 Toyota, I'd have no chance, I think.
No, that's not. I'll not hear that. You could get into it. It was just tremendously entertaining to watch.
and 3 months the chiropractor afterwards.
You're obviously one articulation short of the full set.
I'm one short of many full sets.
John, you're supposed to jump in and disagree, but you didn't, did you?
So the number 2 car is...
I gave him 2 chances.
No, battered that one away. Played gently out to mid-off with that one. It is a great sight. Bruce was saying earlier on today that, where do you look, or yesterday rather, where do you look? Because everywhere I look, there are clumps of cars around the circuit. The classic look down towards Tarzan, having never been here before, or obviously on beyond to where our hotel accommodation is in the port and the industrial area, is almost out of place, but it's kind of otherworldly, isn't it? You sort of look down there, it's almost got the sort of Blade Runner-esque of the outlands here in the dunes, and there is the industrial complex in the distance.
I've only ever looked up there before to see how the weather was changing, and then told that the weather comes from the other direction, but you do learn these things. But it's just all these famous corners. If you've never been here before, you will have heard of the Tarzans, you would have heard of Hugenholzbach. But to me, the one I love, and when you drive this circuit, is Chevlach, where you come over a compression, you're already through a compression at Rob Slottermacher-Bocht, you go up and the corner is already arcing away, and then you go over a crest and it arcs even tighter as you drop down. There's this huge dune comes gravel trap on the outside, but in the old days there didn't used to be anything like that. It was just dune, and then you go into a very, very fast section of the circuit. But I just love the way that it's nestling here. It is a circuit like no other, and on a day when the sun is shining, it's a million miles from the days you're here when the rain's driving in and there is nowhere to escape from it.
Yeah. Well, that's like links golf, isn't it? It's the great,
one or the other,
or the bad. Yeah, that is the challenge of being so close to the water when you're hitting the small white ball around, and it's similar here. This is a wonderful, wonderful venue for motor racing, and it's rather sad that we can't go through the night, because I bet it's really dark here when there'd not be a lot of ambient here.
Yeah, well, I remember just walking down the seafront from the circuit down to the middle of Zandvoort town, and it's, you've got gentle light from the buildings on your left as you walk down, but it is so dark, and we're to the north of that. We are in the dunes, so yes. But one thing that always drives me when I come here to Holland for racing is just the sheer passion for motorsport in this country. And I've been here when the weather has been absolutely foul, and the spectators, no thought of leaving the circuit or going to get any cover. They don't want to give up their vantage point over Tarzan, so there they say. They dig themselves down into the dunes. But, I just like the attitude, Chu. It will happen. We'll do it. It's a very, very happy approach to motor racing, and I think this series fits perfectly with that. Lots of people coming to have fun in racing. 52 cars. We have, I think, about 170 drivers split between those cars. A lot of people having a lot of track time for not a lot of money, and racing some very good cars on a fantastic circuit. 168
drivers for Le Mans, 24 hours, and the coverage on Radio Le Mans for and the big shunt down at the hairpin right in front of us. The 75 BMW got sideswiped by the class-leading Renault Megane, and it was the little Renault Clio that got the worst out of that, but managed to stay out the barriers. But up in the grey, it is like NASCAR. If you are off the racing line, it is very slippery indeed. Well, and that was side-to-side contact.
Yeah, that was actually Wubber Herla who was hit in the number 75. That's one of the diesel class cars. That's the SVDP racing entry from the Middle East that he shares with Spencer van der Pal, thus SVDP. BMW 120D, it wasn't his fault, but so, now that's interesting. Running 6th overall was Jan Joris Verheuvel, who'd only not long taken over that car and made up the deficit to the number 88 GC Automobiles entry that he was challenging for SP2 honours. That will not have helped, Nick. You could be having number 90 back in very soon, and that's its second incident today, because of course it went off through the gravel very early on, probably on the oil that brought out the code 60 for the whole track to be cleared from turns 11, 12, 13 and 14, the final 4 corners of the lap. New fastest lap ever in the course of this meeting. Maxi Boek in the race leading number 2, 1 minute 42.002. The fastest lap in qualifying was 1 minute 39.998 set by Maxi
Boek. Yeah, also a fast lap last time around by Christian Dick in the Ginetta, a 149.994, an SP3 car under 150. That's pretty decent time, and his next lap is a 53.9. That tells you how difficult it is. An hour and 22 minutes on that car at the moment.
Looking for damage as the number 90 Megane comes in. It should be on the front right left-hand corner. Oh, he seems to have got away.
I think I did say it was side to side, but I think the other car involved might have come off a little worse. Going down past Nick Damon now, that class-leading car. Was it due into the pits anyway? No, it wasn't.
And it's gone straight in the garage.
I'm guessing that will be a front right-hand track control arm.
Just catching up with him, and I shall fill you in on the full details, but it's not good news because that car's been going brilliantly, and it's. You saw the end of the accident, you didn't see the start, but wasn't
it was a proper racing incident coming down into Hugenholzbocht right in front of us. It's a very quick entry, came upon the slower car, went down the inside, slower car pinched down on him. In fairness, had been giving him room, might have been a little bit ambitious coming from that far back, Jan Joris Verheuvel, but he's been doing a very good job. He's already he will lose the lead as Frank Leone Provost in the GC Automotive 88 car, the V8 6.2 litre version of that, the GC10, the confusingly named GC10 with the V8, will be through in about a minute's time.
And that will be to take the lead in SP2 and move up into 6th place overall. But I think...
And in fact, as I look down, that's the TTRS.
But just the point, John, is... there is such a short distance between Gerlachbocht and the Hugenholzbocht. If someone's coming through really fast and you're on your outlap or something, you haven't quite spotted them, you're just checking the gauges through as you come through Tarzan, you're coming down to Gerlachbocht, all fine. You might be looking down and just not see what's coming, and if someone wants to dive up the inside of you, there is very little space indeed.
One of the advantages of this 90 car is being effectively a silhouette prototype. They can whip off all the bodywork in about a minute. And it comes off in big, fibre packages, and suddenly the access to all the various arms and everything else. And it's the rear. The rear control arm is at a very bent angle.
It's the rear one, is it?
But the rear is Well, the one on the left is lovely and straight, and the one on the right is sort of prescribing an angle of a Uri Geller spoon, I would say.
Okay.
And so that's the rear end.
Was that towing it in or towing it out?
Towing it. It would tow the rear wheel out because it's the back. It's roll on, so it's got tow out the back, and then obviously you're replacing that.
Right-hander's quite exciting then as you turn in there and get the bit of rear wheel steering.
Just don't tell the driver.
The great thing about it is because this car is a space frame silhouette. It is so easy. The man can it's got perfect access to this thing. He says he has to undo two long bolts. The arm will pop out, provided they've already pre-made up the replacement at the correct length.
Yes.
The thing will be back on and going again. And it does appear that they've got away with literally just that bend. I can't see there's not even any damage on the bodywork, which is really amazing. You can see it's all very vented around the back there.
Well, just to confirm that Frank Leone Provost has gone through and taken the lead in the class. This is the third pit stop of this section of the race for that car.
Well, go quick with JJ, who was driving the car. JJ, what happened there?
I just went into a Huguenot's corner with a slower car. I think he took the theoretical ideal line, and I was with a double apex, so I was very near to the curbstone on the inside, and I don't know, maybe I outbraked myself, or maybe he just didn't see me and turned in quite heavily, and he hit my right rear. So yeah, it's all crooked now. It's banged up, so yeah, we'll have to see what happens now.
It must have been a hit absolutely square on the wheel, because the rest of the car seems undamaged.
Yeah, no, the car isn't damaged. It's only the wheel and the suspension. So yeah, we have to wait. We have to see.
Thanks, JJ.
The advantage, Nick, of course, you mentioned of having a space frame, purpose-built racing car like the Megane Trophy is, and remember that is not like any Megane that you would drive on the street. This is going back. This is a mid-engined car with a 3.5 litre motor sitting behind the driver. The advantage is that you can service it quickly. The disadvantage is it's not built for endurance, and that type of contact, which you might have got away with on maybe a full house GT3 car, it is maybe a little more borderline, Bruce, on something that's built for a 20-minute sprint.
I can't disagree with you on that. I think entirely so. I mean, we do have this enormous mix of cars here in these Creventic.
It pays you money and it takes your choice, as it were. It's advantages and disadvantages.
Entirely. But one of the cars that's just been doing what it's sort of made to do, we've seen over the years, 320D BMWs going round and round. We had number 82, which just drops, it's leading A5, but it's just moved into a pit garage. Simon Knapp brought that in. That seems to be the car that just runs like a train, really well driven. So your next point of call, Nick, port of call, should be the garage halfway down the pit lane for MDM Motorsport, dropped to 9th place overall. And in fact, along with Jan Joris Verheuvel, they're now 9th and 10th. There's Franjo Kovac in 86, which is the best... it's a Besseplast TTRS.
TTRS
has moved ahead of both of them. So the Besseplast TTRS 86 up to 8th.
And crucially, second in class now, because the Megane has now lost first and second in that SP2 category. I'm a bit more awake this morning, notwithstanding the issues that we're having with our connectivity that I've been messing about with. The Code 60 came at a good time with that. We haven't restored full connectivity, but thank goodness for BlackBerry and 3G, so we've got some bits and pieces, but not our usual full connectivity with the computers. But the race at the head of the field is outstanding. Maxi Burke and Peter Cox trading fractions of seconds between the 42.1, 43.9, 43.9, 43.4, 43.2, 43.2, the last few laps from those two drivers. Alex van der Hoff, after losing the lead lap, is still only 5 seconds behind Peter Cox. That will tell you that he has picked his pace up just a little bit. Peter Schmidt is another 54 seconds further back in 4th position, 2.95 and 33. Or if you prefer Mercedes-Benz, Ferrari, Corvette and Mercedes-Benz, you're leading 4. And in 5th place now, it's the second of the car collection Mercedes-Benz. That's Dr. Johannes Kerkhoff in that car at the moment, and he's 28 seconds behind his teammate on the track, but an extra couple of laps off. Another fast lap.
I was going to say,
Maxi Berg, 41.7. Do you think he's in the groove?
I think they phoned through and said 42.02. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Shift it, chum. Peter Cox is trying his hardest, but he's really struggling to get below the 43s, and now the target's moved to 41, so it's more than a second. What am I talking about? Just over a minute and a second now between them.
It's interesting that Coxey does seem to have the pace in the traffic. He doesn't lose out so much in the traffic, but as soon as a bit of clear air, Maxi Berg just, metaphorically speaking, goes into military settings, locks on the afterburners, and that Benz just disappears up the road at a rate of knots.
Now, earlier today on the grid this morning when Nick was speaking to them, they established that we've got this quintet of drivers that are driving both number 1 and number 2, but they said they're going to put the quick drivers in this cycle into number 2, and certainly Maxi Berg is the quickest of the lot of them, but it seems the gentleman drivers, if you will be put back in number 1, which is still just outside the top 42nd. It lost 24 laps. You do not make that up overnight.
14 laps were lost yesterday with their problems. They took an extra 10-lap penalty for working on the car during the overnight Parc Fermé, as did a couple or 3 others. And it's a shame because those 2 cars were the class of the field yesterday in the first hour. They simply drove away from the opposition.
Yeah, but what we saw, John, was the number 1 entry. We didn't know if it was mechanical or just the driver. The drivers were going better, but with these ABS problems and the gearbox problems, they were 10 seconds a lap and more off the pace. We thought it might have just been 1 bad lap, but then it was another, and so it went.
Jan-Joris Verheul in that Megane, now down to 5th place in class. That tells you just how close it all is in terms of that category. And a moment ago he was leading, slight miscalculation. His interpretation of it actually was pretty good. He did dive down for the inside, lost the back end just a little bit under braking, and that's why the back end slid out. I don't think it was deliberate or bonkers driving from it was the 75 BMW, wasn't it? I think we said.
Yeah. It was the SVDP Seat, I think it isn't actually. No, it's a BMW, beg your pardon, in the diesel class.
In the diesel.
But I thought it was a very, very, yes, you're right, a very fair description. And, actually, thank goodness we're in this style of racing, because you can hear a fair description rather than blame being cast entirely.
Bruce,
the other person's called. Yeah, Nicholas.
Was it 82 you told me to go and find out about the BMW?
Yeah,
yes, I have Baz Van der Waal here. Baz, unfortunately, after a good round, the 82 now up on the high stilts. What's the problem?
It seems that we have some problems with the clutch, so they're trying to repair it now, and we'll see. Wait, what happens.
It's been a difficult first hour and a half with the code 60s. I mean, do you think that contributes to the problem, or has it just come from nowhere?
I don't know whether that had something to do with it. I don't know. We'll see.
Now, interesting, just next door to Baz in the 82 car is Ivo Bruker's very popular 104, and I'm afraid things are going from bad to worse, because whilst they were trying to fix whatever the problem is, someone set off the fire extinguisher, which it then has deposited all its contents, A, in the cockpit, and B, on the floor. So there's a lot of guys there, but it really, I think if you have to say luck running out in spades in a 20-minute period, the home build, as we like to call it, R8 is suffering badly.
So a number of changes then in the last few minutes. Nick Damon down in the pit lane, Bruce Jones, John Hindhaugh up in the Eagles' nest at the moment. Maxi Berg still leads, that's the constant. Peter Cox still in second place, but losing time, and the time now all of a sudden, the difference between first and second, 67 seconds. They are the 2 on the lead lap, with Alex van der Hoef in the Corvette in 3rd position. He's 22 seconds behind Peter Cox, but as I say, sitting just off the lead lap. Now I'm rather confused with that. No, Peter's got to still come through. Right, yes, understood. Alex van der Hoef is actually 126 behind Peter, a little bit further back than we thought. In the classes, SP2 now in the pit lane. The leader, the 88 GC Automotive cars, just come in, Nick. That's Frank Leone Provost. Yep. Is this a standard-looking stop?
Yeah, there's a driver change.
It's the red car, isn't it?
So yeah, the red car. That car has made extra stops today when it drove through strangely, but this does seem to be a driver change. No tyres being offered, so driver pulled out there, and I thought he was close to collapse. He was just very heavily manhandled by the mechanic, who stood on nose to get him out as quickly as possible. New driver in. As I said, no tyres being offered, which is interesting, and then I would assume they'll go and pick up some fuel. So this does look like it's a scheduled stop, at least as far as driver time is concerned. One of the one on the number 2 Mercedes will be in a minute, because they're waiting to go.
It'll be the 2.
So the leader will be coming in, and in a couple of seconds. And also number 49, the other Ivo Gluka's entered car, which is having problems. And away goes the 88. You can probably hear that. It's quite meaty as it goes.
So that was one of our leaders. He might have
not taken. Oh, he's missed the fuel stop.
No!
Look, he's gone the wrong side of the cone.
Wow.
No, that should be a penalty, but he'd probably get away with it.
Well, I was just wondering, actually, where Franjo Kovac in the TTRS, the Bezoplast car, was, because he may well have taken the lead there.
Yeah, but he's had 0 pit stops, according to our timing today. But that's only an hour and a half, and yes, you could easily do that. In fact, further down we have.
In fact, there he goes. There he goes through and takes the lead.
Number 3 is in.
That's the 86, the Audi, the 5-cylinder TTRS, going into the lead of that category. That's where all the change has been this morning in SP2. Malcolm Nile in the 93 is not that far back. And he will be making up places as well, of course, at the moment. That's the first of the Mark Cars Australia V8 Focus.
9th place overall. Leading SP3 is the car in 10th place, which is Christian Dick, the little Ginetta G50 that has just been running absolutely like clockwork. 3.5 seconds down on Malcolm Nile. So 2 very different cars out pursuing the same sort of glory.
Yorkshire's finest there against Australia's finest. Into the pit lane is the leader, Nick Damon.
It was a slightly difficult pit entry because Mission Possible are doing one of their changes with amongst their paraplegic drivers, and they're in the pit lane as they have every right to be, but they are only about a garage in front of the big, long and not massively manoeuvrable in a small circle bends of the leading number 2 car. This is a full service. Out gets young Maxi. The tyres are going in, and in is getting. I think I know that it's not Christian, so therefore I think this is interesting. Now this is quite interesting. I think that getting in is Michael Kroll, who is certainly the most gentleman of the gentleman drivers. Now everyone has to have a go of this car to get on the podium, but this could be a stint where other cars could gain. I don't think he's the fastest man in the machine.
Swiss in the Swiss entered car.
So Michael's there, being set up.
Only an hour for Maxi on that stint.
Did he drive it at the end of yesterday as well?
Well, I can't remember, but that's we've been running.
Yeah.
He started the race yesterday.
Yeah.
In number 1.
Yes, he did.
So
that's
he's done
right.
his stint in number 2, short stint.
I think what they're going to do here is, I don't think they've used all the fuel, and what they'll do now is top it right back up, give Michael Kroll a short-ish stint, as in comes the Bezoplast Audi from the lead of SP2. And Nick Damon wanders down. It's behind the.
He is completely covered, from my view, by the Mission Possible car. I thought, how could you see this? But as soon as he got the air jack, he kind of popped his head over, and the car, as you said, has had a pretty good run. The driver's finding a huge deal getting out. That's the most awkward exit for a race car I've seen not involving me. And getting out is. I think that's Frank. Is it Kovac who's in the car?
Kovac has just got out.
Yeah, and it's the strap getting in. So Kovac has got out.
I think this is going to put the GC Automotive car leading this class.
Well, the 88's at the petrol station at the moment. He hasn't popped out yet from the field.
Oh, has he not?
When he finally got there. This car can take in a maximum of 100 litres each time. I can see it's stuck on the side there, the max refuel. I'm sure they'll pump it up. So Kovac is, after that very awkward exit, managed to get the new car underway, and it is the Swedish driver Troy down the pits, where I think he will meet in the petrol station. They're significantly later in the fill. The car he's erstwhile racing against, the 88 machine.
Well, while all that was happening, of course, Peter Cox did not pit. He's just gone into the lead of the race there in the Praha Racing Ferrari, down with the red 458 with the black roof, the black rear wing, through the first part of Tarzan, out of the second part of Tarzan. Nobody ahead of him, so maybe he'll stick in another quick lap. That was a 1 minute 43.2. That's what happens when you have no traffic, but you get into traffic, they become 46s. 1 minute 46, 147. He's got a good run out of Hugenhoch over the rise. He should be able to carry all the speed that he wants to carry all the way through to Masterbocht, which is the corner, the tight right-hander after you've gone around Schevlach. effectively to turn the cars around and bring it back. So yes, there he is, augmenting that lead, but he's been out for 1 hour and 35 minutes, so he's got a short while left in the car, but not that long, maybe 10 more minutes.
And I am chastened by a right turn lover who tweets at Specutainment. Technically speaking, military power is actually full speed without the afterburners, so I apologise for that slip earlier on. In comes Synchro in the Honda. Apologies for the loudness of the noise behind us, but it is our Dutch colleagues have opened the door again.
Right,
2-1 for them.
Just a quick one, just to say Michael Kroller's gone out in number 2 now, so he's had that pit stop in what was the race-leading Mercedes. He's just going through Gerlach-Bocht on his outlap. Watch out, your tyres will be cold.
And the Synchro car is showing signs of that little scuff you told us about on the inside. So it's looking a lot better than when I last saw it, which was yesterday, when it was in several pieces at the front after a more serious beating of the wall. And suddenly the pit lane's got really busy. We've now got both the 74, the 53. If I look down, we've got one of the 5-litre Focuses in as well. So perhaps we're 2 hours in, 1 hour and 50 in. We've obviously lost a bit of time in fuel consumption terms for the Code 60, so this is perhaps the hour and 20-minute mark in real terms for the cars, in running terms. Now we're waiting for 21, and a lot of the smaller cars, the non-A6s, are coming in and getting their drivers changed and their tyres changed, and then another fill-up.
Another fastest lap of the race for Kong Lim Liam in the SP2 5th position car, 149.9, and we've been saying before that anything under 150 for those cars is pretty good. That's the 89, the second of the GC Automobile Factory. That's the white car, which was so noisy down the pit straight a moment ago.
And he's the only one of Malaysia's drivers in the race, and showing again this international spread, because of course Creventic doing races all around the world now.
15 is stopped at post 15, not sure where that is around the circuit, so that is bad news, I'm afraid, for that car. Now, can it be recovered from there?
15, I don't think we have a 15.
Fair point, well made, nicely presented.
Yeah, not on my list, I wrote it out this morning. So we'll work out who that is. But the gap between Peter Cox and Alex Van Toff is a lap and 15 seconds now. Oh, the number 89 has come in, and it really is incredibly lopsided. That's the white GC Automobiles car that's running down the order. That's the one John just talked about with Lim Keong Liam.
It was number 102, not 15, apparently.
And it rejoined. That's the little
Somebody
Lotus
hit the wrong keys. That's
Lotus
Koisa
Evora
in that car, third in SP3 at the moment, in 29th position.
Looking at the back of the 89 to work out why it's so lopsided, and I just can't imagine what the problem is. I think it's actually got a mounting problem underneath the car. Oh, I see what the problem is now. The actual main stay, it's been hit at the backside quite heavily. So one of the pipes is shooting at an angle rather than straight back, an angle of about 30 degrees to the left, and that's it firing up. It's been rear-ended by something. Unless it reverses, I don't think it reversed into a barrier, because that would normally mean that they would have a damage on their rear wing. So someone has rear-ended that car, and that's what's deranged it. But of course, because it's just a bit of carbon fibre or glass fibre, there's no real weight bearing on there. So it's not a supporting structure. So they managed to stop it from rubbing on the tyre, so off it goes. I've no idea how it affects the downforce, or your wings at an angle 6 degrees higher than the other. It's still wing-shaped.
It depends which way you're turning around through the corners. In comes, it's like a sprint car. In comes the 93 Mark Ford Focus.
I've got the 7 with me as well. The silver Porsche has served a stop-go and a driver change. And as I said, all heck has broken loose as we have the Danish Clear you're talking to with Tom Christensen's brother in it in front of me.
It's the 106.
The 106 indeed. That's getting like a lot of the Clios, they just get front tyres.
Who is called Jakob, by the way.
Thank you.
You can't just keep calling him Tom Christensen's brother.
It's an accurate description.
No, absolutely. Can I just continue to report on the change in fortunes for the 82 former A5 leader? Simon Knapp brought that car in a wee while ago. Now, having been in the lead of the class and inside the top 10 overall, has dropped to 27th position, 7th in class, and some 9 laps off the lead in class. So things turn around very quickly for apparently not massive issues here.
No, and another thing that seems very different is that Peter Cox is lapping in traffic 146.9. Michael Kroll has just taken over the number 2 Mercedes. He was in the lead. He's come out in 4th place. His first flying lap, 1 minute 54. Now let's see if it carries on like that, or is he just being cautious after he's taken on the fuel? Because then the chance of number 2 getting back up at number 9. Of course, Peter's going to come in very soon, and he's handing over to his Czech co-drivers, who will not be as quick, but that is a huge lap time difference, 7 seconds.
Yes, good point. 1:47.8, the fastest lap for the number 8 SP2 new leader. This is the 88 GC Automotive, the red, all French crewed car that's got Jeremy Raymond at the wheel at the moment. Lionel Amarouche did a huge stint in that car yesterday, and we've seen Frank Leone Provost in it this morning. And decent steerers, the lot of them. Fastest lap of this part of the race as well, a 1:47 for the car of Elmer Grimm, back in the number 3 car collections Mercedes-Benz, which is in 6th position overall, but 7 laps away from the lead now, just 6 minutes into his stint. Nick?
Yeah, again, the smaller cars are coming. We've had the 41, we've got 2 BMWs in front of me, one of which is the 34, the other, and another one about to come past me again. This is the constant pit visitor of yesterday, the 39, yeah. One thing I just noticed, that you may have noticed already, you noticed one of the sponsors on the Australian cars? It's brilliant.
No.
Car protected by CrimSafe. Keep your car protected from criminals with CrimSafe. Brilliant.
And you have to say it in that Welsh accent, do you? That's interesting.
And the number 9 and Peter Cox has just come to a halt in front of me.
The leader in the pits.
The leader is indeed in the pits. Thank you for the upgrade. But yeah, interestingly, they've already got the tyres on. This is a very quick turn. The wing is still askew, still more of a sail than a performance aid. My guess is, actually, I think they've gone back with Pissarak again, has gone back in the car, so we've not seen Jurek yet, is my guess. So Pissarak goes back in the car, he started the car, and he was one who turned it round and nerfed it against the barriers. And that's away.
Then.
And then he's going to go back into the... he gets the right side of the cones, that's okay, and he goes in for fuel. So, interesting rotation there. Peter will have to be out of the car for as long as he's been in it, so they can't get back in the car for at least another 2 hours. But he is there. If they want to win the race, they need him in the car as much as possible.
Okay, and while you were just talking there, Nick, I was looking to see the next lap time from Michael Kroll in the number 2 Mercedes. He did 1 minute 54.0. He's just done a 1 minute 50.5, so he's getting into the groove. Possibly quite sensible.
That's cool tyres.
Yeah.
That, you can't. We've seen this even, and we'll see it in a few weeks' time, even at Le Mans. In 2 weekends' time at Le Mans with Mobile One Radio Le Mans 91.2 FM at the track this weekend, and we'll be joining up with them. Apparently, some big news coming out of Le Mans, big team news for this year's race. A returning crowd favourite, apparently, is what we've been told.
5 vets just come in, boys.
Right.
Beneath me, and this is massive.
Yes.
This is the busiest the pit lane's been. I think even during qualifying it wasn't this busy. So the 5 is going, and they're going. Obviously, the 5 is having more tyres. They've got the 41s coming in for a second place car. The 29 BMW has come in for the 3rd time, and every single time just drives straight into the garage.
I'll tell you why this is. Partially why this is. There's oil flags out at Tarzan, and also let me see if they're still out. Yeah, they're out right through the kink as well, just behind us. And I wonder if they're expecting a code 60 and trying to get on the right side of that, but maybe not. The 102 car team manager has been asked, that's the Coroisi car, to report to the race control. Now, putting 2 and 2 together and making 5. I wonder if Core's little off earlier on might have pulled a union or something. Out goes the Corvette right in front of one of the...
That's an unsafe release.
Right in front of one of the Ford Focuses, and heads-up driving by the incoming Ford Focus.
I think that was Jake Camilleri. No, he's just gone out. Sorry, it wasn't 93. James Kay.
It was James Kay. Oh, well, that's why.
And here comes
heads-up driving by James.
The 105 comes in from 8th place overall. Is 8th
yes.
place? Blimey, that's amazing.
That's the SP3 leader. Christian Dick has been in that car pretty much all this morning. Leaders, by the way, in the top 10. SP2 leader, the Jeremy Raymond driven GC Automotive 88 car. Christian Dick, SP3 leader in 8th position. Ronnie Latine in the Peugeot 208 GTI, the A5 leader. All those three together, 7th, 8th and 9th. So 4 of the 6-7 class leaders are in the top 10. And 6 of them are in the top 25.
But the Life at Lamborghini now pulls in for a tyre and driver change as well. So we have there's a problem. Stopped on the pit entrance is the blue and green BMW, the 28. That's actually blocking pit entry at the moment. It's died.
Where's that then? Oh yes, I can see.
Oh gosh, tucked by the pit wall.
Yes, we can see their pit lane team running up there with their fluorescent bibs with the numbers on.
Well, that's also from the Hoffa Racing crew. So
is it?
The 2 Mercedes. It's the Hoffa Cooper Racing. Mind you, that's entered from Germany, whereas the Hoffa Racing Mercedes in the A6 class are entered from Switzerland. So I could be getting things wrong.
There has been in this real flurry of pit activity, not only several unsafe releases, one of which spotted brilliantly by John there, but also a vast number of people getting their knickers in a twist about trying to avoid the cars which are parked a bit too in front of them. One thing you do notice is that Mercedes SLS have very poor turning circles, and number 7 had to take 3 goes forward and back to get past the car next to it.
Just to say that the left rear wheel, I think, is missing from that BMW, which is 3rd in class. This is the Burns Cooper driven A5, number 3, A5 3rd position, 28 BMW. It's one of the older Beamers. Absolutely immaculately turned out and running on proper BMW M-Series wheels. Yes.
Yeah, bodywork damage.
Bodywork damage on the left rear. Now that we can see it, Nick Damon sachets purposefully down towards it.
They knew this was coming. I saw the panic in the pit lanes. They knew there was a problem.
Should be able to see that now.
That has, that's had a major off. It's sheared. The wheel has been sheared off the hub. Now, I'm not sure about cause or effect. Is it the case that there's been a wheel hub failure which has brought out the bodywork damage? I think it has. Yeah, they've had a collapse in the rear. There's been a wheel failure, a collapse.
So that's not impact damage, you think?
No, not at all. Not looking at it. Unless it got hit exactly on the wheel. I'd say that the wheel has come off. It's also taken out. The longer mounted properly is the brake disc as well. So that seems like some sort of catastrophic hub failure, I'd say. But the wheel's it's not the wheel. The wheel itself hasn't failed. The wheel's gone, as have all the 5 retaining nuts. They've all gone as well.
Oh, that's not good.
That's possible, actually, that the damage, if the wheel fell off, it's possible that the damage to the actual disc may have been caused by the fact that they would then have hit the ground and run on it.
Yes.
But it's hard to tell, and the driver himself is currently doing the mechanicking, so it's hard to ask what the problem was.
That's Nick Damon down in the pit lane. It's midday, and we go into the afternoon of the 9 hours that we started this morning. There are just under 7 to go in the 12 hours, the Hankook 12 hours of Zandvoort, live here on RadioLeMans.com. So welcome to the afternoon if you are joining us here on RadioLeMans.com, and we've got under 7 hours to run now, and here's how it stands. It's just 16 seconds, the difference between Peter Schmidt in the number 33 car collection Mercedes-Benz from Michael Kroll in second place in what has been the class of the field, the number 2 Hoffa Racing Mercedes-Benz. Yirish Pesherik is in the number 9 Ferrari now in third position. He's a further 16 seconds back from second. Pit stops are kind of pushing themselves, getting themselves back together now. Alex van der Hoff is on his out lap at the moment. That car must have just been in and out. Yes, it has, of course. It did the fuel stop and is in fourth position. That's the Corvette, of course. Elmer Grimm in fifth, but 5 laps away from the lead now. Is in 5th position in the other Mercedes-Benz from the car collection team. And the top 6 is rounded off by the leading SP2 car, who's just gone in there because the Lamborghini's just pitted. And Jeremy Raymond leads SP2 in the GC Automotive 88, the red GC Automotive car. That's one of the silhouette cars. Other class leaders, A5, Ronnie Latine for Peugeot, the 208 GTI in 8th position. That is the number 208 car, leads at A5. Leading SP3, Tony Hughes is in the 105, which is the leader in SP3, which must be the...
It's the Speedworks Motorsport Ginetta G50.
Yes, that is the G50, yeah.
Just took it over from Christian Dick, who started this morning.
I don't think they've lost the lead there of that class. In fact, they haven't.
No.
Not by some distance,
Well,
because it's Mike Barton who's way down the field.
Here's one for Nick to go and chase. We had the Nissan Nederland entry number 76, which was the SP3 pace setter yesterday. It took the 10-lap penalty overnight for work on its drive shaft. It's way down. It's been in the pits for a very long time, Nick. If you want to go
I will go and find out.
Number 76, Max Kobolt had taken it over this morning.
The 28 BMW that came in just before the break with the wheel missing, they are rebuilding that that left rear corner as we speak, and it appears to be no upright damage, which is quite lucky. I think the wheel just fell. I'm wondering now, because it's such a clean break, whether actually they did have all the nuts come undone and the wheel fall off.
Leading A3T, NKPP Racing. And that is the 41 Seat Leon Super Copa with Harry Hildesh. No, excuse me, that's gone down into second, so it's the 48 car that leads that now, which is the HM Motorsport Peugeot RCZ. Now, I think that's the first time we've had that car in the lead of A2. And where's the A3T leader? It's Henk Hane in the 42, the Baz Corton Racing Seat Leon Super Copa. But I can't remember mentioning the Peugeot RCZ in the lead of that class before.
No, I've seen it running second. Great looking car. It's green with a broad yellow band, and it is such a swoopy design. But no, it's never run higher than second in class so far. So.
And still leading D1, down in 28th position, the 71 TT. Well, that's a change. That's the Volkswagen Golf, the Swiss-entered car for Daniel Schilliger and Anders Kempf.
Oh, we've got a car off, well spotted. It's on the exit of Tarzan, a very strange place. To lots of green on. I think, is it one of the Mark Ford Focus V8s?
That's what I would say.
No?
Number 52. I think it's a Clio.
It's
52, it's a Clio. Well, that makes it the Kitsy Ebbing Racing Clio. Thank you very much. And I don't know, you don't normally go off there, as we have code 60 again, unless you've been helped, John.
Yes,
or unless a wheel comes off your car.
So
just to explain, it's on the exit, it's after the second apex.
You're doing well to actually get there. Something's had to go very wrong in the middle of the corner there.
Yes, because he's gone off the track at about 45 degrees, which by that point, if you go off, you should go off with about a 10-degree angle of incidence at the very most.
You've actually done all the hard work in getting around the corner at that point, in fairness. Nick Damon is down in the pit lane.
Yeah, just went down to the Nissan booth, or whatever you call it, pit lane. I've been in long enough to know what they're called.
Garage? Is that what you're looking for? Box? You know.
Right, at this point, I'm obviously desperately need some coffee. Let's go and find some. And I received the universal sign for it's not going out, the hand across the throat. The finger going, it's dead, and it's drive line. It's drive line, and that's as much as I could get from there.
Nick,
didn't they have a drive shaft problem last night?
They did. Yeah. They replaced the drive shaft, but even when they tried to fire it up this morning, trying to just engage gears and things seemed slightly difficult.
It's not all bad news, though, because various members of the team are now sitting at the back of the paddock. I'm in the paddock at the moment, by the way, and the sun is shining in beautiful. They're all sunbathing, having a lovely time. It's marvellous. It's a very.
Is that someone rubbing sun lotion into your body there? Is that like
what I'm doing is I'm walking through every single garage. Remember the name now. Staring at the coffee machine and looking plaintive. And it hasn't worked yet. My puppy dog eyes are failing behind my eye respect glasses. I've discovered a disadvantage with them. They can't see my puppy dog eyes and my desire for coffee.
Work on it, Nick. I think that the finger across the throat was just another warning you got as the pit lane reporter. Nothing to do with the car. First the wheel gun and now the finger across the throat.
What you're basically saying is I've been given subtle clues that they actually want to see Bruce Jones in the pit.
Well, that can be done.
That's pushing it a bit far. Just to say that the one person who's benefited here is Cor Euser, driver of car 102, team manager of 102, and they wanted the team manager to the tower, so he had to come in and take himself up the stairs. So
yes, that's a good point. Team manager, I'm in the car, I can't come.
That I would assume it actually is an allowable excuse.
Yes, I think so. I think so. And there is the Peugeot RCZ that now leads the class in 21st position. And it really is John Deere colours, isn't it? Green with the bright yellow stripe down the side. Such a pretty car, that, with a double bubble roof. And as we're in Holland, I get to mention the De Roy brothers, who used to do rallycross in DAF 66s and 55s. Both big lads, went on to race trucks in rally raids and things like that. But they were so tall that I remember the DAF 55, which was eventually the ultimate iteration, was all-wheel drive as well, with the bubble in the roof, so that I think it was Henk de Roy, if I remember rightly, could get in the car.
Just want to stop you. Another driver penalty for the race-leading car. Peter Schmidt in the 33 Mercedes has just come into the pit lane. He hasn't emerged from underneath us, so he must be sitting having a time penalty.
Well, he's been in 24 seconds in the pit lane now. There's only about 5 or 6 seconds to get underneath us. Nick, can you see? Oh, you're behind the garage.
He's being oiled up in the paddock.
Yeah. So there he goes.
He should be coming in for a drive. Oh, hold on. Where is his garage?
I think that was a 30-second penalty.
It possibly was. Now, driver change coming up. I think that's Renger van der Zande with the yellowy-green helmet, waiting to take over from Peter Schmidt. Now,
either that or he's a police motorcycle cop, because that is exactly the colour that they wear out here. That very, very fluorescent yellow. So that is the race leader into the pit lane. No penalties for coming in under code 60 here at Zandvoort. But he will lose the lead to Michael Kroll, who has just gone across the line. And he might, in fact, he's already lost the lead.
He has already lost the lead. And
yeah.
John, I was watching Michael Kroll's time. It was a 1 minute 54, 1 minute 50, 1 minute 48, 1 minute 47. He's on the pace now. Not the ultimate pace, but the pace that he should achieve in that car.
And that is, it's good management though, isn't it? Because you'll be talking to your driver saying, right, you're not going to break the lap record first time out. You've got a heavy car, you've got cold tyres. And, you know, as good as the Hankooks are, when they're cold, they don't grip. You're going to give away a few laps. Just get yourself back in. It's a Saturday morning. We're back racing again. Right, okay, push me. Hey, that's better, that's better.
But not just getting back in. I don't think he drove the sister car last night at all. They had 2 drivers in each of them, but he wasn't one.
Correct.
And I've just been checking. I talked about the 28 BMW that caught your eye, the blue and green one with 3 wheels.
Yes.
Chantal Kroll, his daughter, is in that. So Hofer Racing it is across the 2 of them.
Okay. So the Swiss-Deutsch effort then. So still the purple flags are out on the marshal's posts, and we've got the flatbed with the this is the big MAN flatbed that we deployed earlier on, with the huge black crane mounted in behind the bright red cab, and pulling off to driver's left to allow a stream of cars go through. That's very heads-up driving by the recovery team.
Good use of mirrors.
Great use of mirrors.
Now let's see what the damage is. This is the Klaus Ebbing who's driving the car, and since the team is called Kitzy Ebbing, you have to think he's important within the team. But their little Renault, multi-coloured Renault Clio, it's got a green nose, it's a yellow roof, green tailgate, which is raised, but it went off at that very strange angle.
Yes, but look at the side of it. It's got a big tyre mark just behind the right-hand door.
It's called an assist, isn't it?
And it looks to me as though the left front has taken a hit as well, and possibly the left rear. Big U-turn by the flatbed, and Nick Damon will be waiting. Is waiting, in fact. He's right at the first garage.
Hello.
And it's all going to be on the side away from you, so you might want to walk onto the pit wall from there.
All right then. I just did a battery change, just so you know, so I wasn't ignoring you.
That was very good. I didn't hear it.
But of course the flatbed has to wait its turn. He has to do that very tight turn from the little access road into the pit entry road, squeezing his way around.
No, yes, yeah.
Oh, he works in built-up areas.
He's done very well there. There was not a foot between the cab and the outside wall of the pit lane there.
That's a first for a while. The number 30 red BMW, for the first time, has actually just stopped in its pit box, not gone straight to the garage.
Well, that's a car that was its class leader for quite a while yesterday, with Donald Molinard doing a fantastic job on board. The red BMW from number 30, of course, that's Top Auto Tyler Racing.
The multi-colour 52 machine. Ah, yeah, that's not got a front wheel at all anymore.
Okay.
Front wheel, That's interesting. That looks like it had a front wheel hub failure.
Well,
another one.
That would also explain why it was off at such a strange angle. So he maybe came out of the
But
pits.
that one looks more like it might be I'll have to walk down and stalk them. But that again doesn't look like accident damage. So you can't really tell what angle has gone ping. But they have taken the wheel off, and you can see the whole of the disc. You kind of go, that's a bit odd. Now whether people have got some finger trouble or what, I have no idea. But it's strange. They certainly have obviously. What they've obviously done is over the years they've had to replace various panels to the breakers yard. They're just not really worried about what colour they are. A bit like that Harlequin Polo you could buy for a couple of years, where Volkswagen produced it with no two panels the same.
Oh, it was so much fun.
So I'm now caught up with it, and it's a bit unwell at the back, but that's probably standard, and it's missing. Yeah, it's missing the front wheel. The tyre it's sitting in is one of the tyres they use to mount it quickly into this flatbed. But that's missing a wheel, and it's got 4 of the nuts. One of the retaining bolts is still there. The other 4 have disappeared out. It's got a lot of other. That's some sort of wheel or hub failure that's happened there. I can't tell you which one it is. But that's interesting. That's 2 in not very much time at all.
Of course, not interrelated though, Nick. But
no different. One's rear-wheel drive, one's front-wheel drive, one's different size of tyres. We're both the 5 Spurs. But that's a very strange one. When it's gone, if you look under the car, it's then obviously scraped along the bottom and picked up some damage of the under tray, but very little. That's if they can work out why it fell off. It's 20-minute, 10-minute job, but it's very strange.
Well, the race order now, as we are under our, as I say, third sector 60 time, we go to green flag racing again. Leading the way is Michael Kroll in the number 2 Hofer Racing Mercedes SLS AMG. Now in second place is Renger van der Zande. I did get the helmet right. Taken over the Martini liveried Car Collection Motorsport entry, number 33. He's 2 minutes. The screens are slightly, what you get this shunting effect on the screen when the lead car takes another lap, so around 2 minutes behind, we think. Jiri Pasarik is having his second stint. He started the race yesterday in the number 9 Ferrari, and he may be going ahead this time around of Renger van der Zande, who has just come out of the pits. Yes, that will happen. And then Rick Bresch has taken over from Alex Van Toff, the V8 Racing Corvette, running in 4th place. Elmer Grimm is 5th in number 3. That's the second of the Car Collection Motorsport SLSs, and leading the way in SP2, 88, Jeremy Raymond.
Now the gap between Renger van der Zande in second and Jiri Pasarik in third is 16 seconds. That is corrected time. That is proper now. As they went through, I was just trying to work out where Renger had come out on the circuit after his pit stop. He got out in between Michael Kroll in the lead car and Jiri Pasarik. Now there's Michael Kroll going down into Tarzan in a huge gaggle of cars. He gets to the inside early. He lets the Benz Talk do its thing and clears 2 or 3 battling cars, including including a class leader in one of the Peugeot 208 GTIs, and that is the class leader. No, it's not. It's the 205 car. Excuse me.
But 92 in that group, running very slowly. It's one of the Mark Ford Focus V8s. Trying to see where they are on the screen, but they've certainly got a problem.
SP2 second in there as well was the Audi of Frederick Lestrup. It is still the 88 GC Automotive car that leads in 6th position overall in SP2. A5, Ronnie Latine in the 208 GTI in 7th position. That's the A5 leader. Tony Hughes in the Ginetta, number 105, in 12th position, leads SP3. Henk Hane in the 42 A3T, which we said was the Seat Leon, didn't we? Yes, we did, the Super Cobra. Jens Hansen in the 48 leads A2, and that will make that the papers all over the place because we've had the door
48 HM Motorsport Peugeot RCZ, of course.
Yes, of course it is. Thank you. And Daniel Schilliger in the D1 number 71 is the TTC Racing. That's the Swiss entered Volkswagen Golf TDI, the Mark V version. Only 2 drivers on that, Andreas Kempf and Daniel Schilliger. I guess because it goes so long between pit stops, you can do that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Just because if you're listening from Australia, I left you in the balance about who was driving 92 and where it was. It's a full Australian crew, New Zealanders to Nick, but hey. and it's down in 33rd place with Michael Benton on board. But I think he was possibly just being sensible. They've gone from cold tyres under the code 60 and just winding it up. But the person who's really on the move is Renger van der Zande. First flying that 1 minute 43.599. You're pointing at what, John?
I'm pointing at a green flag waving at the exit of Arie Luyendyk, the final corner on the circuit, but there's no yellow flag going into the first part of that, the Kumho curve.
Just a thought, John.
Somebody in the middle of it.
Is it wave green or is it wave blue? We've got wave blue. There are huge bunches of cars coming around.
No.
The flag has gone in now.
And there's a very slow car just come out of there.
It's one of the Mercedes.
But that is our leader, I think, isn't it?
Is it 2? Is it 1? It's
no,
number
one.
one.
So that wasn't the issue. So what happened there?
I just wondered if it was the way the sun was hitting that flag and it was blue, not green. But they were waving it after all the cars had gone past. So
yeah, that was what made me think it was a green flag rather than a blue one.
But there's nothing at the corner before, which is Kumho-Boch. There are no flags being waved. Wave blue at corner 12, but that's coming out of the chicane ahead of a whole gaggle of cars. That's fair.
Okay, well, whatever it was has cleared very quickly. And we've now got 54 seconds between Michael Kroll leading in the Hofer Mercedes-Benz and Renger van der Zande in the 33, the car collection Mercedes in second place. But look at the lap times.
Yeah, but also, he did a 1 minute, Renger van der Zande, 1 minute 45.2, 1 minute 53.8. But Jeroen is being pushed very hard by, Renger is being pushed very hard by Jeroen Mull, who's been the fastest driver throughout of the Lamborghini trio. He's way down in 8th place, but he's determined to make up track position and keep going. Certainly he is carrying that team. It's had its problems, the Lightfoot Motorsport Lamborghini, but
7 laps off the lead at the moment, that car.
All he can do is all he can do.
73 Seat, that's the yellow and black car.
Sat in its garage forever yesterday, so it's Rick Breukers down in 49th position of the 51 runners.
And has just gone back out and is smoking heavily, Nick.
Yeah, the problem it had was it couldn't get in the garage because it's the other of the Ivo Breukers teams, and obviously the garage is currently occupied by the 104 Audi R8. So they were working on the apron, and again, it didn't do much yesterday, and it's having more problems today. But they seem quite confident it's entered. And the interesting thing is, any second now, despite the fire engine going off, the 104 should join us. Its driver has been attached to the machine. They're just cleaning the windscreen, so there's a likelihood that we're going to see the 104. Now, interestingly, as you say, that there's some concrete dust going down on a patch of tarmac in front of that, where that Seat was. So it was leaking the last time it was in.
It was very black smoke coming out of that car.
The 72 120D that had that front suspension failure is being, it was smashed. Is being pushed down the garage, down the pit lane. I don't know whether they're going to go and fuel it, they have to go and fuel, or they're going to just push it so they can get it round the back into the transporter.
Well, the driver who's absolutely storming around and fighting his way through traffic, just coming past us, gained another 2 places. Renger van der Zande chasing down. He took 10 seconds off the race leader, Michael Kroll, last time around, and he's still got the Lamborghini lapping just as fast, right up his chuff, but 7 laps down.
Yeah, Jeroen Mull now up into 7th position overall in the Lamborghini number 10. That isn't a battle for position. If you're watching here at the circuit, I know you're listening on the PA. Good morning to those of you who have taken some of your Saturday morning to come to the Hankook 12H of Zandvoort. It's nice to have your company, Bruce Jones, Nick Damon down in the pits, and me, John Hindhoff. It's RadioLeMans.com broadcasting live, as we were yesterday as well, for the practice, the qualifying in the first 3 hours of this race. In comes the Synchro Motorsport black Honda, the 57 car that had such a good shot at the victory in their class. Martin Byford brings that car in from 9th in A2, 43rd position overall. Big 43 on the side of that car. That tells you where the car is in position. A 42.9 for Renger van der Zande last time around in the 33. Oh, team manager of car 33, report to race control. What have they done wrong? It's normally not for a pat on the back and a cup of coffee and biscuits, is it?
Really, you're driving so well. Excellent work.
Excellent. Do carry on.
Thank you. I'll get straight back to it. But lapping right behind him, but as we said, 7 laps down, Jeroen Mull in the 7th place Lamborghini from Lightfoot Motorsport did a 1 minute 43 on the previous lap. They both had a slower lap in traffic.
Do you remember Jeroen was right in behind Renger yesterday, and that was for position, and it appeared that Jeroen really just let Renger be a bit of a snowplow and kept pace with him, never dropped away.
Yeah, and then that was the order was changed when Renger had the gull-wing door on the driver's side go up on the 33 Mercedes. He managed to yank it down, but he dropped to fourth. But then he fought his way back. But this time, Jeroen Mul's trying to pass him as they go over Hunsrug, down into the sort of right sort of S, and then the left as they go out towards Chevrolet, and just trying to see who's going over the top. Of course, and the Lamborghini, it looks as though it's got past as they go over the crest of the hill.
Yeah, absolutely right. Rick Abrecht is in fourth position in the number 5 Corvette. That's easy to pick out, the big rumbling front-engined American muscle car, bright yellow, just going round Hugenholz-Bock at the moment. And he has got Jiří Pisarik right in behind him, about to put another lap on him. So that's third behind fourth. It's one of those confusing things. Again, not battling for position, but Jiří Pisarik is about to go through and put another lap then on the car that is directly in front of him, which is directly behind him on the timing screen. I've got myself into a mess now.
With you all the way, John.
I'm going for a lie down in a cold, dark room with some halibut oil.
But what you really need to know at this instance is that Renger van der Zande, as he's hunting down the race leader, who is now picking up his pace. Michael Kroll did a 1 minute 48.3 second lap last time around. In traffic, Renger van der Zande dropped about 3 seconds, but still lapped in 1 minute 46.5. The gap between them was down to about 40 seconds. There you go, and let's see, 39.844 is confirmed as Renger does another quick lap. He's picking it off, but Michael Kroll is picking up his pace again. So I think he's just that little bit more cautious in traffic.
And particularly when he's just come off a code 60, he'll be worried that the tyres may have lost a bit of pressure and temperature.
But we've still got that fabulous battle passing us again, this time with the number 10 Lamborghini.
the different ways of operating. And once again, we take our hats off to the men and women in orange as they are here. White if you're in other parts of the world, particularly the States. Detroit Grand Prix for Indy this weekend. And we thank very much anyone who gives of their spare time so that we can come and watch and take part in motor racing. You know, I know you've heard me say this before. There are sometimes officials you could do without in motor racing, one feels. However, those that stand and wave flags and observe and do the hard work at the side of the circuit along with the recovery crews are not among that. They are essentials, and we thank you very much for making our sport what it is. And by the way, we always need more. If you're interested, go and find a local motor club wherever you are in the world. They will point you in the direction of how to get involved and start officiating in motor racing. It's a good way to give back. Nick?
The 89 GC Automotive car has just come in and gone straight into the pits. That's the car with the Cockasclew rear end, but he seemed to have problems at the front. And the Norwich City John Deere, my old Scalextric Lotus RCZ class leader has come in for what looks like a pretty standard 4-tyre and driver change. So I'll go and see what the GC Automotive car now.
Right, Renger van der Zande now 5.4 seconds. That is all he is behind Michael Kroll. He should catch in this lap. Michael Kroll is just going through Gerlach Bocht, now right beneath our commentary box, turning left, the first pass of two lefts effectively, through Hugenholz-Bosch. He's just getting it straight, putting the power down, and Renger van der Zande is on at the apex of Hugenholz-Bosch, should catch in this lap, but he has the Lamborghini between him, several laps down, but going very well.
And a yellow flag right in front of him at turn 10, and it's for Ivo Breukers in the R8. The number 104, just out of the pits, has not got very far. Sad to say. This battle in A2, with the Peugeot just having come in under the tutelage of Jens Hansen, Jan Beck Anderson in the number 106, this is the Renault Clio, is not that far behind. And although it owes us a pit stop, but that is a battle that is going to continue, I feel. That has got Jakob Christensen with that team, of course. And we'll be linking up with Le Mans and Mobile One Radio Le Mans 91.2 FM around Le Sart starting next week.
Coming into
this
the
afternoon,
chicane, we have the race leader right behind him as a back marker. Then you have the Lamborghini running out of sync in about 7th place, but right behind him, we've got the number 33 with Renger van der Zande in 2nd place overall. So at the end of this lap, we will still have number 2 and Michael Kroll leading the race. Renger van der Zande may even be close enough to take a tilt at the number 2 Mercedes as he brings his similar car down the start, finish straight towards Tarzan. So completing another lap in the lead with a Lamborghini 2 car lengths behind, but down in 7th place with Jeroen Mol, who takes a move, looks at the inside, but using the back mark as well. Michael Kroll holds on to lead into Tarzan. Having a look on the inside, even between the 1st and 2nd apexes is the Lamborghini, and then right behind is Renger van der Zande in 2nd place overall, going through Gerlach Bosch, the kink. Slightly slower line, but holding the inside line as he gets into Hugenholz-Bosch, but he's left the door open. Can the Lamborghini get through? Yes, he can under acceleration, but he's out of the race. But Renger van der Zande does as well as they go over Hunsrück, and into the lead of the race is the 33 Martini liveried car from Car Collection Motorsport, the local driver leading the race at home. Michael Kroll is going to have to see whether he can hang on, but already they've dropped him as they go over Schevelach and down the far side. The sweepers are Renger van der Zande flying Jeroen Mol just as quick, but down in 7th place in the Lamborghini.
Renger's only been out 22 minutes, and it was over a minute when he went out there, and he's pulled a minute back. It can be done, even on this tight circuit with over 50 cars still running.
And we saw that with Peter Cox yesterday when he took over from Jiri Pisarik, and we still have the 3rd driver to go in that number 9 Ferrari. That's now in 3rd place, but a minute back from Renger van der Zande, and embroiled still in that battle with Rick Abresch, who's a lap down in the Corvette, but sitting right in front of that Ferrari. Last time around they were separated by, about half a second on the start-finish line.
Nick Damon? Or maybe
it's all very quiet down here.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's you know, the GC Automotive car came in, and they finally appeared to decide that the bent rear wing mount was a problem, but that wasn't the reason it came in. I think they got a few minutes sorting out the problem they have, which appears to be behind the driver's head, and from memory Dubai tends to be something that's causing issue 89. The 28 car, which lost its wheel about half an hour ago, has is about to rejoin the blue and green stripe M3 E46, I think. BMW, which is a kind of stalwart of preventing events, and we see that car in Dubai as well, and that's gone. So that has
that's the car that lost its left rear wheel, wasn't it?
And it must have been again a sort of hub failure, because they've replaced that. They had to sort out the bigger problem appeared to be that it had damaged the way that the inner hub and the way that the disc was mounted. So that was the big repair they did, and that's gone to get some fuel. But after the ridiculous flurry about half an hour ago, everyone's now just trolling around. We think with probably about 46 cars running, 45 cars running, they could stagger themselves rather than all coming at once, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but the issue is, of course, Nick, that they've all got relatively similar fuel consumption, as we were talking to the two of the drivers earlier. And when you get a lot of people coming in the Code 60, it does time to pull them back together again. 44.944 last time around by Renger van der Zande, and has taken 5 seconds out of Michael Kroll that lap around. Having passed him, he's just pulling away and doing what Renger does, which is driving very, very quick. He's a decent little steerer, him, isn't he? He can do the business. Just watching the Ginetta going down into Tarzan. Easy to pick out here with the very Viper-esque Chrysler Motorsport colours on it. Of course, powered by a Ford V6, Yorkshire's finest. Garforth, just north of Leeds, off the A1 motorway. And goes into the hairpin in front of me into Hugenholtz, and is just being passed by the number 7 Mercedes-Benz, with Nigel Farmer back at the wheel of that car now. He's been in that for about 40 minutes or so, sitting down in 20th position, but still 7th in A6. 18 seconds between Renger van der Zande, who leads the motor race, and the 33 Mercedes-Benz. Other leaders, Jeremy Raymond still in the top 6 in the SP2, leading GC Automotive, the 88 bright red car. A5 is now being led by the second of the two Peugeots, Matteo Sentis, who owes us a pit stop. He's sitting in 9th position in the 205, the number 205 car leading A5. His teammate, with no driver in it at the moment, is in 11th position.
Which is impressive.
It's the Google-powered car, yes. Tony Hughes is leading SP3 in the Ginetta. He is in 12th position. In 16th position, Martin van der Berg in the A3T leader, which is the NKPP. No, it's not. I tell a lie. It's the Baz Kofen Racing. I've done that twice now, but it is the Seat Leon Super Cobra that Martin shares with Hank Hanna and other class leaders. It has happened. Jan Beck Anderson has taken over the lead in the 106 Clio in A2. Daniel Schilliger is the D1 leader in 26th position in the TTC Racing Golf. I think that means that we've got all the leaders on the first 26 in the race. So all the class leaders are there.
Well, that helps you not crane your neck as much, but we've had Michael Kroll hunted down for the lead and passed by Renger van der Zande. Already 29, well, actually we'll wait for that to scroll round, but he's already falling back into the grasp of Jiri Pasarik and Rika Bresch.
Will be coming in the number 2 will be coming for a stop race soon. The tyres are available.
51 minutes they've done so far. Well called, Nick.
Sitting on the apron, and Christian, his surname escapes me, will be getting into the car, and they are going to be taking Peter out. He's done his stint. He's qualified for whatever podium position they eventually end up with in 6 hours, 18 minutes and 4 seconds. And they will now obviously try and get the machine back up to speed and catch up the distance to the Van der Zande 33 machine.
Frankenhul.
Thank you.
Vincent Rademacher at the wheel of the 208 was the absent name on the timing monitor.
Well, quite a lot of letters to type in, aren't there?
That's very true. And he's just turned that car's fastest lap of the race, and 154.6 in the number 208. Now relegated to second position in the A5, but still 11th overall, and only behind his teammate, of course. There's nothing to see who the next A5 car is. It's Milan Kodidesh in the 34.
That's the RTR project. So that's the white and orange E46 GTR.
Yes, yeah.
It was looking pretty handy early on. I was just looking down the timing screen. We talked so much about the Renault Megane Trophy car, but it's had its problems today. Nick saw it being refettled in the pits. The bodywork pulled off, but that's down in 15th place. Luke Brahms at the wheel, but it's lapping pretty well. It's a lot quicker than about the next 5 or 6 cars above it. But again, 12 laps down on the leader at the moment, so it won't trouble that. But in terms of SP2, it's only 5 laps down.
And he's got Keith Kasulke ahead of him. Keith Kasulke ahead of him in the 91, which, you know, that's only 20 seconds the gap back, so he'll catch that back up. That'll be a position. Who are the other SP2s? Jay Camilleri in the 93. I think he's still on. That car is absolutely still on a chance with a podium, at least in class.
It's just been going like that. But on the track, we'd had the Lamborghini running laps down, but ahead of Renger van der Zande. Obviously fired up by taking the overall lead. Renger in the last couple of laps has displaced him on the circuit in terms of running order around the lap, but they're still the fastest cars in the field, lapping last time around they had slower laps last time, 1 minute 44s, but no one else can get below about a 1 minute 47 at the moment, remaining the class of the act.
You're listening to RadioLeMans.com. We're live from Zandvoort in the Hankook 12 hours. Another pit stop and a new set of left-sided Hankook tyres for one of the teams in the early part of the pit lane. I think it's the number 5 car that will be coming in. That's the Rick Abrecht-driven Corvette.
No, those are for the car 2.
Sorry?
They're for number 2.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Okay, I apologise then. Thank you, Nick. I was just about to say to you, Nick, you've done the Dubai races, 10th anniversary of the Dubai 24 coming up next year. Already planning for that here on Radio Le Mans and RadioLeMans.com, and also by preventing. Is there a different atmosphere? A lot of the same people, but is there a different atmosphere in the pit lane because we're in Europe and we're in the middle of the season and not in the winter? Does that change things markedly?
No, the big change is that what you've siphoned off is the top 12 or 15 very professional teams, and therefore the garages all look like the garages that run club events or smaller support meetings. Whilst they're still have a professional air to them, the ones that are truly professional, like the Peugeot 205 and 208 outfit, stands out, and that's the key difference. It's much more of in many ways closer to the feeling of the 360, a big 360 rather than a small Dubai, I'd say.
And I think it's fair to say, Nick, that a lot of teams use the Dubai 24 hours at the end of January as a warm-up to bigger and greater things through the season, a chance to have a really effective run-out, shakedown for the car, and not just the car, the drivers, their chance to get their racing head on. Oil flag at turn 10, that's the left-hander that takes you onto the short back straight.
Second place in the pits. And out comes Peter Schmidt. Slowly. They really are very awkward cars for anyone who is not standard racing driver to get out of an SLS, and Peter certainly isn't standard racing driver size.
I think that's Michael Kroll that was in that car.
Michael Kroll, sorry. Michael is not standard racing driver size. He is more sort of
compact,
Frolian Gonzalez size in many ways.
You mean more like a normal person?
Well, more like you, really, John. I'd say.
Right, moving along. Let's look at the timing screens. I just want to point out one thing that happened as you were saying there before war breaks out. That Rick Abrecht, who'd been running a lap down on Jiri Pisarik, but not delaying him, but staying ahead of him on the circuit. That order just changed at Hugenholz last time round, so the Ferrari has got ahead of Rick Abrecht, has a lap in advantage, but now let's see if Jiri settled into that drive and can really start to pull out a gap. In fact, he's opened out about 2-3 seconds, and Rick Abrecht now caught behind 2 slower cars going through Hugenholz, losing yet more time.
And the 2 car does make its way down for a fuel stop, so he will now spend 3.5-4 minutes filling up, and then begin the pursuit of the leader, the 33.
Vincent Rademacher, another fastest lap for the 208 GTI, the number 208 as well.
Just cut across, you just had number 30 pulling off at the exit of. This is rear suspension. His front left wheel is askew. Has he just come out of a pit stop? Let's see. It's the 30. No, he's 15 minutes in. Jochen Krumbach, 18th overall, limping up to Hunsrück. He just pulled off at the exit of Hugenholz.
He's hit something with the left front. He's got white paint or some kind of mark on the left front wheel. If he says he'll take the shortcut there. Yes, he has done, and he's going to limp back to the pits. But that left front wheel looked odd.
Odd, yes.
It's a technical term. So scrambling, I'm presuming then, Nick, in the number 30 pit. That's the red BMW.
That car's been in on a couple of occasions, but by the Synchro Motorsport car left its pits garage about 30 seconds ago, so that's back in the fray after a secondary problem after its accident last night.
And more problems for the 5th position A5 runner. This is the 29 BMW. The black and orange machine has come to a halt with what looks to me to be an overheating issue. There are, now that might be oil smoke actually, and it's coming from inside as well as underneath the car. The driver is out, that's Ulrich Becker. He's off to driver's left, just on the kink behind us, which is Gerlachbocht. And two intrepid marshals are going to push him back out of what is actually quite a dangerous place. Driver out of the car but still steering in that Martin Schanker door open type of way, and that car is being pushed back. Now the problem with that is he's on the wrong side of the track to get back to the pit lane, so even if we get a flatbed over there, it's going to require some issue. I think we've got one of his team come round on a quad bike there. That's very swift work by the team.
I'm just wondering, John, was he involved in any way with number 30's problem? 30 has made it back to the pits, because that's just behind the B pillar in our commentary box, if you will.
Yeah, Nick, that's the 30's gone straight into the garage.
Again. But he seems to have all four wheels attached.
Left front, mate. There was something wrong with the left front. Either it had some paint on it or he'd been turned around.
I've now got onto the left front and looks relatively unscathed on this from the view I have at the moment.
Well, it seemed to have some sort of white paint on it. I don't think he didn't spin down here and hit the white concrete wall around us. He simply pulled off at the exit of Hugenholz. Now we code 60?
The car doesn't...
Code 60.
Code 60.
The 30 looks fine. It probably isn't. It's probably out of alignment, but if you look at it on the left-hand side, it looks absolutely fine for a car that's been running for 5 hours.
Code 60, Nick. Expect pit callers.
And the 90 is the first of those pit callers. The Renault Megane machine.
That's Luc Branch at the wheel of the SP2 fifth position car.
They're going to pull the number one Mercedes will be joining us soon. He is the stop is all prepared and lying out on the pit apron.
We've got marshals on the circuit on the exit of turn 1, and there's
it's probably oil, and that's probably from the Tischner Motorsport BMW number 29.
Yeah,
that's pulled off at Gerlachbocht.
Yes, I'm going to concur with that, because there's a long line of oil running out from the second part of Tarzan all the way to Gerlachbocht, which is where that Tischner car has pulled up. So did then the 30 BMW get caught up in that and have a bit of a rotation?
Now the car 1 has a door problem. They can't open the door.
Ah, that's Roland Eggerman that's brought it in.
On the passenger side, it's open. The top level, the top hatch is open. Where the top of the gull wing is opened in a very odd way, but they actually can't open the door.
Oh dear.
And don't forget, in a production Mercedes SLS, they come with explosive hinges, don't they, in case the car rolls?
Race cars have them as well.
Do they?
Yes, have to.
So we now see the 33, the leading car, going for just for fuel, the Lippert Lamborghini going just for fuel, and one of the Australian 500s going just for fuel. The 3 cars have gone through and just decided to fuel in this period. The door's still not open on the 1.
They've opened the other door on the other side, so the driver has got out of that. Was Roland Eggerman.
And now they're trying to reattach the top mounting, and the door is falling off its mount at the top. There's been a major door failure. It's no longer hinging properly. So it's fallen off its main hinges on the roof.
You know, the one good thing for that team is that's on their car placed 35th, not the one that's fighting for the lead. Number 2 still okay, but this is the story of the gull-wing door race, isn't it? Renger van der Zande had his moment when running in 3rd place yesterday evening.
Yeah, somehow they've managed to unmount it from its hinges in the roof. They've both popped off. They're now trying to push against the gas struts, which are designed to effortlessly open the door, because they've got a failure of the lower bolt lock, which now is at a very funny angle, and they can't actually get the door.
But there's a mechanic on the roof, isn't there?
Because they're trying to get the weight to compress the gas struts down, so they can get the lower door angle back in a position where it might get undone. But at the moment, it ain't happening.
So having climbed up from 44th place, gained nearly 10 positions, they'll be sliding back down the order
At least
again.
It's happening when it's 5 minutes a lap and not a minute 50.
Okay, the good news is the Tischner Motorsport black and orange, day-glow orange BMW has been brought back onto the green sward alongside the circuit. He'd been pushed into the escape road, well, the sort of retreat road at Gerlachbocht, and is being pulled in by one of the very busy pickup drivers, and they'll bring him the shortest route possible back to the pits.
I expected them to dodge right there, and they haven't. I'm not sure.
I think it's too tight. They go halfway towards Rob Slottermacherbocht.
Still on the grass at the moment, so does not to presumably drop oil onto the circuit. Now pull across. That's very, very, and straight back on the grass again. So they still clearly are worried that there might be fluid leaking from that Tishner BMW, the driver of which, and that was a 29 car, wasn't it?
It was the 29 Tishner Motorsport one, but the oil trail, and or more clearly the cement trail, is all the way up from Tarzan, exit of Tarzan up to Gerlachbocht.
Yeah, and
they're still working on the roof. Driver
not giving the pickup driver enough tension in the tow rope. I was always told.
Now they just decided to go with it as it is.
What?
The door not mounted properly and unable to be opened.
So the driver has to get in on the wrong
Nick,
side.
You've got to get a photograph of that and get that tweeted with the guys on the roof of the car.
I'd like a photo of you on the roof of the car, Nick, and I'll tweet that.
Nick is actually getting his phone out now, and I see him put it up sideways.
Thumb in front of the lens, that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you. The David Bailey of pit lanes there.
Hardly.
Hardly Bailey.
And surely that's not actually a legal tire to go out.
So what have they done?
They just the door's now taped up and can't be opened from the inside, so the driver can't get out in the event of an accident.
Well, I'm sure he can, because if it's only tape, it'll push off.
Exactly.
The question is, will it stay closed? Not whether he can get it open.
Well, I suppose so.
So
and he's now gone off and...
we've had the driver change there, haven't we?
They had the driver change, they had the tyre change.
Yeah, can you imagine? No, you've got to... Oh, take all the tape off.
So off they go. A bit risky. So
and they've gone into the...
the number 9 car's in, so the number 9 car comes in from the lead.
Second place.
So that is that's a driver change, and our second Czechoslovakian driver is getting in. So
that was the number 1 Mercedes with that issue,
yes,
wasn't it?
Yes, it was indeed. So number 9,
4.5 minutes already in the pits for that car.
The Ferrari number 9
and no fuel.
Is taking tyres, and it obviously have a driver change. So and the number 30 BMW, which caused the first part of this confusion, is already back out and running again. As I said, I didn't really see any issues with it as the 57 Synchro Motorsport car goes down the pits again. I think just to pick up it must be serving a penalty. He's just gone through without doing anything.
We still find that very odd, Nick, because from our vantage point high above Hugenholzbach, when 30 started going again, having pulled inside the circuit, it was like one part of that front left corner was white or something, so it gave the wheel a real sort of unbalanced appearance. So we both thought it had broken.
It wouldn't surprise me if he actually hit a concretey bit of barrier and bounced off it, and then to the car feels a bit odd, and effectively came in to get it sorted out.
Could have done. We saw him halfway around the corner. He could have gone in on driver's left after Gerlachbocht, but you can't tell. There are lots of skid marks on the grass there.
Yeah, so number 9 has gone for fuel and a driver change, so they now have the third man in. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one.
The third man. I'll tell you his name. Jaromir Jirik.
That's him.
Down at third man, is he?
Yes.
He is. And at long off.
In his flannels.
Was that a fiddler on the roof for that Mercedes-Benz, says Johannes Quaglica?
If I was a rich man, I could tell you.
Johannes, get your coat. Really, that's poor. Even for you.
It's like sunrise, sunset, it's all the same to us in the race.
It's all endurance, that's right. So, under code 60 for this clean up.
The 29 has arrived now, which I think caused a problem, didn't it?
Jeremy Raymond about to come into the pit lane in 6th position, but more importantly, leading SP2 in the GC Automotive number 88 BMW lookalike.
The one that's not a cock at the back. And he's coming in, I'm sure this is just routine. The 29 BMW is being wheeled and showing no signs of any damage, so as you say, we think it's mechanical with some sort of leakage. The Mission Possible team is going to get fuel, just driving through. The 88, the leader in class, as you say, the GC Automotive car, is having a driver change, tyre change, and full sorts of fuel as well. I'm not sure whether that's actually when they want to do it, or it just becomes convenient because we're under code 60. And we now go through the quiet period again.
It is quiet. Really. Renger van der Zande still out on the circuit, still leading the race. Yuri Pisarik, as we mentioned, Nick, brought the number 9 Ferrari in from second place. We've had the driver change. Rick Abresch up to third, but probably going into second during the sequence. In the V8 Racing Corvette, and Christian Frankenhout has now taken over number 2 from Maxi Buch, and I'm sure we'll see that car start to make progress again towards the front of the field.
And quite soon we're going to be seeing the 82 back out.
Good.
The BMW that was leading its class and has had a clutch change. That's just come off the hijacks.
That's an hour and 5 minutes or something.
Second in SP2, the Audi. That's at this end of the pit lane.
hour and 20 minutes.
Oh, now is that getting a penalty there, Nick? It's gone out of my
Yeah,
view.
there's something underneath me in the penalty. There's a, I think that's the GC. Is that the GC Automotive car?
No, it's the Audi TT.
No, it's absolutely a serving a penalty, John.
Right, and also it comes the Lambo.
Yeah. That Lambo's already had fuel. It stopped for fuel a minute, and now they're obviously decided that perhaps they didn't.
From these tyres, with your own mole pushing it so hard.
Perhaps they didn't think this was going to be as long a Code 60 as it's turned out to be, and they buzzed it through for fuel, and now they decided to take a second chance and buzz it through for tyres as well. No driver change, Jerome's saying it. So the 86 has served the penalty, not stopped and gone through. That's all it's done. All the 86 has done is serve a penalty, John. It's not picked up fuel or stopped in its pit box. The TTR is.
Okay, that's interesting. I wonder if that was overtaking under code 60 or something. Now let's see what the Lambo does. Goes out into the acceleration lane.
Fuel already.
So straight out.
And the 82, they're trying to give it a bump start.
This is a BMW 320.
Underway with a bump start, and it's going.
Hooray! A number 3 Mercedes has come in from 5th place. Elmer Grimm just bringing that in.
Now that is looking like a driver change, yet no tyres. It is a driver change with no tyres. So the driver Elmer comes out. I've probably seen the poor man get out yesterday, and he's just not designed for that car. Door open.
Gosh, he isn't. He keeps standing up and standing up and standing up, but the doors are working.
Yes. If you look at having a look now at the mechanism inside the doors, that's a massive failure they've had.
Yeah.
Someone has not tightened something up.
And bits have fallen off.
Yeah, and it's effectively come out of its mountings, which are held in held with a kind of a lock nut or a kind of a lock circlet. I'm sure it's slightly more expensive than that. And they managed to get both of those out.
No, it will be that, but the part number will make it very expensive.
I mean, AMG part numbers will be double expensive.
The one that starts AMG. Marshall's running down to the entrance to Hugenholz. On the grass here, there appears to be a bit of glass or something that's reflecting light that I've noticed for a wee while, and I wonder if they're just about to give that a sweep. You're listening to RadioLeMans.com. We're live from Zandvoort. Hello there, if you are just joining us. It's coming up to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Later on today, we'll join up with the rest of our team who are down in central France at the top of the Loire Valley, getting ready for tomorrow's exclusive coverage on Mobile One Radio Le Mans 91.2 FM of the test day for the 2014 Le Mans 24 hours. And we'll get an update from what's been happening at scrutineering there today, and whether there's any more changes to what has been possibly one of the most fluid entry lists for any Le Mans 24 hours